like adults instead of acting, I don't know, like if it's like a competition or if people just want to get upset at each other for no reason. I don't understand that logic. I think it's our job to work together as a team through love, leading unconditionally with love for our neighbors, who the people who are on our team or the people who are off our team, people who agree with us and people who disagree with us. Respect is key, and leading with love and compassion. Yeah, Allison, I told you, I'll call you anytime. I had a conversation with Marie. I had a conversation with a wonderful gentleman this morning. I have conversations, no problem.
Hi.
And I too, by the way, I'm always down to have a private conversation. You can ask anybody. I've had people DM me and ask to call me, and I just give them my cell and let them call me.
Yeah, same.
I have no problem.
We both did that this morning, and that person was like, oh my God, you guys are actually like really cool.
Yeah, and they're far, far, far leftist.
Yes.
They are a extreme far leftist, but we've had so many conversations now in private that they understand our perspective and the work that we're doing, and they support it, even if they don't want to be part of it because they're too far left. They still see the value in it, and they want to support us. And I think that that's what we need to be working towards.
Yeah. And to understand, I mean, this is a tour that we'll be working with creators that, you know, the general public might deem as problematic. You know, like ex-MAGA influencer, I was in an organization called GAD. Like, we are the rough around the edges bunch who are actually blue collar. We're not just like chronically online people. We don't just make all of our money from TikTok lives. And that's not to hate on anyone that does. It's just we kind of operate at a different pace where we don't hold on to the small things in the same way that the left does. A lot of, like, I've worked only with blue collar country ass motherfuckers my whole entire life. All blue collar men, like just straight up. And I'm just comfortable around those environments shooting the shit. And when they say things, it doesn't necessarily trigger me. So I think that we're the best people to go talk to those folk, because it's like, instead of trying to get them to capitulate to these culture war ideas, instead, we can get them to have actual conversations about like tariffs and the economy, stuff like that, because we won't placate. When they start asking us culture war ideas, we're going to tell them what they want to hear, simply to be like, all right, now let's talk about the economy. They'll be baffled. It'll be a good time.
Well, what's interesting is most people on this tour do have a conservative background. And it's because, like, I used to be a conservative. Like, I was in the military. I grew up in the country. Like, I know how these people think. So there is a way that you can tell stories and connect it to politics to where they can relate to it and be like, oh, I've never thought of it like that. I've never thought of universal health care like that. I've never thought of racism like that. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's those small seeds that you plant in somebody's brain that makes them open their mind up to progressive policies, man.
Yeah. I mean, I vote over here and I'll continue to vote over here, but I'll continue to identify as a socially moderate, because this is where I'm at. Like, this is I'm like a fucking country hick. You know what I mean? I'm hunting, I'm fishing, I'm doing my thing, I'm shooting the shit, I'm rolling coal. That's what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I understand values for all people, rights for all people. I get that, right? But I also hang out with folk that they're not the most politically correct people, and I'm not going to sit there and hound them on that, because that's not even how you get them to change in the first place.
Yeah, you got to meet them where they're at. Like, unfortunately, like, you have to meet people where they're at in order to change their mind.
Yeah, that's what it's basic psychology. So when you want to lead someone down a path, when we look at basic psychology, we can see that calling them names, throwing diatribes their way, like all the works, taking them out and flaying them on the internet for millions of people to see over and over and over and over and over again, that doesn't cause people to be like, yeah, I totally want to join your side. Yeah, I totally want to take accountability. Yeah, I totally want to change my ways. It drives them from that behavior because you've associated change with a negative response, and they're not.
And we drove them all together under the umbrella of MAGA, where they found shelter. And ultimately, those people then now have a loyalty to that. And it's legitimately destroying our country. Because we're the enemy, and really our progressive policies are the ones that help the working and middle class Americans.
Someone said we did not drive them to MAGA. I'd argue that because all of my old colleagues on that side, many influencers on that side were Democrats. They don't even like the policy of the right. They're only over there because they had to deal with getting purity tested over and over and over and over again for nothing. Half of these people, LGBT folk, just getting, strung out on the internet for everyone to see over and over and over again, over every little thing. And they said, I'm not doing this. I might not even agree with the right-wing policy, but I'm done with the cancel culture over there. And they left. That's a huge population of people who are voting not on policy, but based on culture. I would know, as someone who was on the right, before watching Dean's lives, before watching Destiny's lives, I knew nothing about policy. I was only continually over there because how I was raised, one, and two, the culture was where I was at. Like, I wanted to deal with people who were like me. Like, we hunt and we fish. You know what I mean? Like, you can have the ability to vote left. You can have the ability to have empathy and morals and want a better life for everyone around you, while also culturally not diving into like blue state San Francisco leftism.
I want to take a shot at Steve's question that he's asked several times about if there's a policy, and I think you were kind of getting in there. Is there a policy the Dems could change? I don't think it's about a policy. I think it's about the Dems fighting for whatever policy they believe in. That's the problem. The guys on the other side, they'll fight till the cows come home, no matter how bad the policy is. They'll fight for it. Whereas on the Dem side, we don't. And that's, I think, is our biggest weakness, is we're not seen as people who will fight for it. And that's what we need to change. I hope that answers your question, Steve.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, and if you guys are like moderates, if there's any like people who left MAGA, ex-MAGA, I would love to hear from you guys in the comment sections. Asking for acknowledgement is not purity testing. Acknowledgement doesn't need to be a public forcing. You guys get into this space where you want to cattle herd someone down the chute, and you're going to use exploitive tactics to accomplish that by threatening to again, smear someone out all over the internet. And I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think handling things behind closed doors is extremely effective. When you publicize it.
The other question is, who are we accountable to? Like, the whole public? Like, no, I'm not accountable to the whole public. I'm accountable to people I hurt, to my family. Just because I'm online doesn't mean that I'm totally accountable to the entire public, because then, like, MAGA can say that I'm accountable to them because I'm constantly roasting MAGA, so it's just kind of a complicated thing.
Yeah. When people say, and they're like, to the people who are harmed, I would love to see, like, to the people who are harmed is doing heavy lifting in that. You know what I mean? Like, you guys got to understand that I'm sorry, but no one's hurting from this. The tour blew up. And the creators have gone back to doing whatever they do, and this next tour has come about, right? But to say someone has been like hurt, I think we have to come up with other language.
Oh, we're doing it again.
Yeah,
we're falling back in the trap again.
Well, no, but that's the thing is, guys, our literal group chat is called Canceled. You know what I mean? Like, we are those folk who just don't care at this point because we have a mission, and we're not entertainers for the left like other creators. We are soldiers in the.
I'm a patriot. I'm a patriot first, like, straight up, man. I'm not a, what are they called? Performative. I'm not performative. Like, I'm a literal patriot who loves his country, who's worried about the future for my daughter. Like, that's literally why I started social media, not to get paid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of people who are really caring about the money. It's just one of those things that I don't care about the money. You guys have watched me for days at this point. Literally turn my gifts off and say, don't gift me, save it for the homeless people. Like, I'm not here for the money. I'm literally here to actually fight fascism. I'm not here to request a bunch of money to be paid to me. I'm not here to request, 5-star fucking bedrooms. I'm not here to request endless bar services. I'm here to actually come in and fight. I said, give me a tent and a can of beans and I'll be fine. Let's go. I don't care if I have to take a Spirit. What is it? Spirit? Is that the scary airline, right? Spirit Frontier. Throw me on one of them damn planes. They're probably one of the only airlines not to have an incident at this point. I will jump on that plane. I will go. You know what I'm saying? Like, feed me literal Wendy's cheeseburgers for 3 days straight. 2 of them. I don't like that's. I'm at a point where I'm here to fight fascism. I'm not here to go on a celebrity tour and act like I'm. What the fuck is that? I'm a normal person, you know? I'm not going to request a first class flight. That's crazy. Tell me you don't care about fascism. Like insert people are in Kim. You know, the people are DYING. Is that how you spell it? I don't know. Kim Moon right here. There's so much bigger issues than exploding a tour that can actually usher in change over people who thought first class was more important than fighting fascism. I'm sorry.
Well, it's also like I just feel like if people should really like look for their like what the desired outcome is in a situation, because if the idea is to shame people, it's just not going to work. You're just going to push them further to the right. So it doesn't do anything. But if your goal is to actually push them further, oh hey Ray Ray,
What's up, Ray Ray?
What's up, guys?
Hi, buddy.
hi.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah. How's your Friday?
It's going really well. Just put the kids to sleep.
Good.
But
Yes.
yeah, well, I just joined. D, you were talking, so you can finish.
No. I lost my track. I was like Ray Ray.
Ray, how do you think personally when you see us coming together wanting to bridge the gap, as someone who is on that side, do you view us a little bit differently than you view the general left? What is your opinion on what you see going on here?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, I do. So, like, obviously, I've seen Dean's in the chat or whatever, and like, I'm not trying to make things divisive for y'all or whatever, but like, I watched Dean's live earlier, and he had multiple people on there who said, "I'm not this huge Trumper. I actually had a hard time during the election, you know, who I was going to decide." And instead of like using that as an opportunity for Dean to basically talk some sense into them politely or whatever, he just continuously does the thing where he just wants to one up the person and try to make them look silly on the live or whatever. And I just think I watch everybody's lives or whatever, and I just think the left, for lack of a better word, like pews itself in the foot like over and over and over again. You know, the extreme left. I mean, that's for me. That would be an opportunity to be like, hey, let me talk to you like a human being or whatever, and try to see, you know, if we can come upon some rationality here. But instead, it's all about. It's like what y'all were saying right before I got on. It's all about money. It's all about gotcha moments. It's all about this and that make them look better and get their following higher. And I mean, if that's his mission, that's his mission. But that shouldn't be y'all's mission, and obviously it's not.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about Ray Ray, you voted for Obama twice, right?
Yeah, I did vote for Obama twice. You know, like the people that you guys would talk to or whatever wouldn't. Like, I'm probably not going to, no time soon would I probably change my side where I would vote or whatever. That has more to do with religion. I mean, I talked to Mercedes for a long time the other day. Like there's a lot of things religiously or whatever that the left is just too much for, you know, against my religious beliefs or whatever. So it's just difficult for me. But obviously there's plenty of moderate rights and moderate lefts that both sides can get or whatever and talk sense into. And I don't know. I still think we're all Americans. We're still on the same team at the end of the day. I'd be upset if like some people on the right were mad at me for even being on this live, because it's like we're still Americans at the end of the day. We should try to find some commonalities or whatever. If I could vote for a moderate, if a moderate could win, an actual moderate could win in a race, I would vote for a moderate probably.
I was literally just about to ask you a question about that, and you answered it before I even.
Yeah. I've answered. I don't want to take up too much just because I'm the Republican in here or whatever, and take up all the time here or whatever. But like,
You're human in here.
I will say, like, one thing that we hear a lot is how can you vote for Trump? How can you be a Christian and vote for Trump? I always try to tell people, I can support a mission. Now, you guys don't believe in the mission of MAGA or whatever, or whatever, the mission of the Conservative Party right now. But I can support a mission without supporting a person. I'll give an example. Like, I can't stand Good Trouble. Can't stand them. Like, I mean, even with my Christian beliefs, that's about as far as close to hate as I get. But I don't like the guy. But if he was holding some kind of thing where he was helping out the homeless or whatever, I would donate to it. So I can support a mission without supporting a person. And so that's where I always get a line. But I do want to say to y'all, like, I think y'all would be better off just, I mean, people go, when they talk to Republicans, they do two things. They do, the main thing that bothers me all the time when I'm being talked to is just kind of undermining our intelligence. It's kind of like, literally, you know, just name calling and just like, we're just automatically dumb and illiterate and unintelligent. Like just because we're from the South and we talk different than y'all, like that's wild to me. And it's never gonna be an effective tool for open dialogue. I mean, nobody says, hey, I want to talk to this person that just called me dumb.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, that point right there is 100%. And that's me. Like, I have like dyslexia issues. Sometimes I have speech issues. I'm not an educated person. I don't have a college degree. All I know is hay farming, breaking horses, and turning wrenches, hunting, fishing. That's all I got. That's all I know. Some construction in there, whatever. You are the people that I get made fun of all. Oh, you're good.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I get made fun of all the time by some people in my own party because they're like, "Oh, you're really uneducated or this or that," and I'm just like, "Do you think that helps? do you think that helps me like any way positively? It doesn't really do that." And that's why, like, when I talk to you as someone who is on the left, was it a different experience than what you probably were expecting? Were you expecting it to be like the loving conversation we had?
I watched enough of your content to know that you were going to come at me respectfully or whatever, and you started off with a compliment. You said I was based, like, yeah. You know, I'm 37 years old, so I had to look up what that meant, but I knew what it meant. But yeah, I mean, you come about it respectfully or whatever. Like I said, I don't like, my opinion is probably not going to change, at least for the time being or whatever. But I think it's good what you guys are doing, and I think breaking apart from the people that you had the first time around with the On F America tour is the right idea, outside of CFH, of course, and whoever. Like,
yeah, and hear me out on this.
Yeah, there were just for me just too many people that were just like, I don't know.
We're to touch MAGA. The problem is when you have a bunch of like 20-year-old people who they're pretty much their entire careers have been some form of like making money online. Like, they don't have the experience we have of actually putting like backbreaking labor into work, coming from an uneducated background, not prioritizing school, but prioritizing making money as early as possible to leave the nest. Like, those kind of things, I don't think that they understand, and they bring a different kind of air to the conversation where it is that self-righteous, I'm more educated than you mentality. And it's just causing this to happen. The amount of times leftists have tried to convince me of something and they use words that I don't understand. They're starting in with the intersectionality. I said, what is intersectionality? You know what I mean? Like,
your brain turns off.
That doesn't work on MAGA.
Exactly.
Yes, so that's a great way to put it. And I think that's something that's very effective with MAGA, because we do dumb it down. Maybe, as Dean would say, it's because we're dumber, but whatever. Like for me, it's like, cool, you're smart or whatever, but if you're not smart enough to understand how to communicate with people effectively, because, like, let's be honest, when they're in their lives, I'm a pretty smart guy. I have my master's degree. There's still words that they use and terminology that they use and ways that they go about their arguments that people can act like they know what they're talking about, even the left or the right, but they're kind of like, you know, if you can't effectively show your position and actually show your argument or whatever for where other people can understand it, you know what I'm saying? You're too smart.
Then you don't understand it.
You're too smart for your own good, and the message went above everybody's head, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, especially if you're trying to reach MAGA, if people are trying to reach anybody that's a moderate right-lean or whatever, you're not going to reach them by, I mean, I'll be the first to be like, hey, yeah, we are like a little bit, we live life a little bit slower or whatever, and we don't sit there like diving into the sources and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and I think what the audience doesn't understand, especially with country folk or city folk arguments, is it's a different kind of education. For example, these people in the comments might be like, pick up a book, pick up a book, pick up a book. I don't think a lot of them, again, understand. Many of them lock themselves in their room and deprive them themselves of vitamin C, but deprive themselves of vitamin D and go down these paths of just like reading, studying. A lot of us though, and I don't know about you, but like in blue collar spaces, when you're working 80 fucking hours a week, more than the average person, and it is backbreaking labor, you're not coming home. Your brain's already fried. You're not picking up a book about intersectionality. You're not like picking up a book about these really complex issues. You're hanging out with your family. You're spending time with your kids. You are doing the things you love to do, and it's because that's the one life that you have, and we work so goddamn much that that's all we do. So it's like getting people to understand that we can have conversations that aren't going over their heads, and understand that people might not get to a point where they're locking themselves in a room and reading about intersectionality, but maybe we can get them to a point where they do recognize under the Constitution, everyone as an American gets the right to express themselves, and going off the basis of that. You know what I mean?
That's a great point, and that made me think of something else that I've seen out of the left, which is like a lot of them, especially the extreme ones, think that that somebody has to agree with them on every single point, or else. You know what I'm saying? Or else you're not one of them. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy to me. We are, you know, last I checked, it was like 330 million people in America. We're all uniquely made, you know, so it's like we're not going to be aligned on every single topic or whatever. And the lack of reality on that is just astounding. But still, it's just like, people will harp on it on the left. It's like, what do you mean? You know, and another thing I'll say is like, when I do watch like Dean's live or whatever, is there not some things where you even are close to like a right lean or even moderate or anything? It's just like, everything is spun and twisted in a way to make sure that your argument is extreme left. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been on my channel, regardless of what the result was going to be from my following, talking about student loans and stuff like that. I have student loan debt, so I understand student loans, and I'm a left lean on student loans. You know what I'm saying? So like, and there's other topics that I probably am more of a left lean and at the very least moderate on. But I see a lot of out of the extreme left just absolutely and the extreme right. So to be fair, just refusing to even kind of like, you know, take it topic by topic and say, how do I feel about this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And that's the way we get there. And I do want to clarify for people in the chat who are messaging or saying this, people in the country, it's a different kind of smart. So maybe we're not educated when it comes to the books, but we get ourselves educated, meaning like, if your girl's vehicle breaks down, we come in, no problem, fixing that shit on the side of the road. You know what I mean? Like, the education we have is like practical world stuff. It's not like debate. It's like, oh, the sink is clogged, we can fix it, no problem. Pipes leaking, fix it, no problem. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just a different kind of education. Our brains are wired to go one way because that's how we were raised. Okay, so we have people requesting. Okay, we have a lot of requests, guys. Do you guys want to do a vote?
Yeah, let's do a vote.
Okay.
I love to vote on things.
Perfect. Zombie's coming back up because that's one of our members. And then we have Dean, Tashika, Deisha. I hope I didn't butcher that. Infamous Jane Doe, Layla, and Flop Queen. Which one are we taking? I got one vote.
God. Well, I think we should definitely have Dean up. I don't know about some of these other people. I don't know who they are.
Somebody said none of these.
Hey, I'm actually on my way to a movie right now, so I'll just ask my question and then drop, and you guys could respond to it after I drop and get around to the other people in the queue. You know, I hear the sentiment kind of radiating off of a lot of y'all of, you know, let's kind of ignore all the issues that exist in the left and fight fascism and MAGA on the right. I've been listening for maybe 20, 30 minutes. You guys have only been talking about the issues that you see with people on the left like me, Dashika, Parker, and people on the past tour. In fact, I actually think that I've heard my name referenced 5 times in the last 10 minutes. So if you were truly like focused on fighting fascism and fighting the right and having private conversations about issues with people on the left, why is it the case that you've only been talking about your issues with people on the left?
Well,
And I
that was
guess I wanted to move you guys
that was
to the
me,
point.
Dean, and I'm on the right.
Well,
That's a fair question.
It's been going on since before you joined, Ray. I'm going to leave you guys with that question.
I think it
Do I have an
matters because
answer?
we're trying to end a culture. So, like, for the past 3 weeks, we could also counter that. Well, for the past 3 weeks, it's been how many people on the left making video after video after video after video after video about someone who is also on the left. So if we do want to talk about who is disproportionately attacking or cannibalizing themselves, it would be leftists against leftists, not moderates against leftists.
Okay, and so basically if you're saying that you want to talk about the issues with the individuals that you see on the left to counterback some harmful culture that you observe, well, I mean, isn't this like the same ideological underpinning that drive the conversations started by others on the left that you may disagree with, like Peyton, etc.? It's just they want to end what they perceive as a harmful culture on the left as well?
That's just not true, though. That's not why he's doing it. And you know that, Dean. And you know that even by asking or by positioning that, you know that it's dishonest.
Well, I think like more so what I'm getting at is like you guys see a harmful culture on the left that you want to end. And I feel like maybe that's the underpinning reasoning behind others that you disagree with.
No, see, you're not asking the right question. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I want progressive policies to continue, and I'm doing this hoping to talk to young men that were exactly like me and find a way to connect with him, like, and explain how it was explained to me, because I used to be conservative. So, like, that's the goal. The goal isn't to attack the left. The goal is to move people who voted for Obama twice to maybe get them back over to the left, or even young kids that maybe are that follow Charlie Kirk, as you know.
I don't think there is a point to end anything on the left. You know, we can all exist, and those who want to perpetuate the cancel culture can continue to do so, and whoever wants to succumb to that can. I mean, when you're in school and you go to lunch, you all sit at different tables, but you're all part of the same group. You have your own little cliques. Like, I don't care who's on the left who has their own little cliques, but the ones that are farther left are not getting the people over to the left in order to win elections. And that's where we need to situate ourselves closer to the center, bleeding into the right to get that to happen, for the people on the left to do what they want to do.
And that's just our group that we're talking about. So we believe that everyone pretend this is a vehicle for progress, and the engine is doing something, and it has no regard for what the axle is doing, but they belong to the same vehicle, and their job is to push the vehicle forward. So if you believe, like in your space, how you handle a situation when it comes to like the Unfuck America or whatever, then you want to hone in on those issues, I think that's really great for you and your audience for sure, but we are trying to go to a different target audience. Our goal is not to entertain the left or to be way over to the far left. Our goal is to go after MAGA.
Be in the echo chamber.
Yeah, we're looking for
I don't want to be in the echo chamber.
The independent voters that we can potentially bring over here. I'm one of those people who, because of debates like you, I was able to switch my vote 2 months before and vote for Kamala Harris, even though I was on track to vote for Donald Trump. That's because Destiny broke through my algorithm. You broke through my algorithm. You guys are slapping down facts. Like, debate content works. Also, though, what drives me away as someone who is like ex-MAGA just came over here, your debate content works, but then also when I see it turn in, like what just happened with the Unfuck America tour, turn into like a millions and millions and millions of people event, that turns me off from the left. And I think handling things like that causes people who would potentially vote over here to not. For example, that one girl who came up here earlier, and Ray, the only reason that they think we're different on the left, or they're even willing to be cordial with us and think that we're like the more palatable leftists, if you will, or more palatable people on the left, is because we're talking about the toxic cancel culture of the left. The cannibalizing is counterproductive to the movement. I think we should all have our positions and leave each other alone in our positions and understand the value of each position.
Okay, well, as I said, I only had time for one question. I got to head off to the movie. I guess this is what I'll leave you guys with. You're kind of like treating the goal of, trying to maintain like a better left as antithetical to that of trying to get people from the right to the left. And I don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive, and I think that two things can be true at once. And I think that, maybe like the way that you have described me is kind of like proof of that concept. Like obviously, like maybe you and other individuals on this panel have kind of reiterated the fact that, like, oh, I'm too far left, I adhere to these socials and to these norms that you don't think are smart to adhere to, as they're not directive or nor conducive towards getting people from the right to the left. But like simultaneously, I mean, you just told me that I was able to successfully get you from the right to the left. So two things can be true.
But I also said that what happened, you're able to successfully get me from right to left, but that doesn't mean the debate is what does that. What doesn't do that?
It doesn't mean that the majority that happens for the majority either.
Yeah, but
Trump won every single swing state. Why do you think that is?
But I think a lot of it too. So I do want to really quickly. Hold on, I really want to quickly clarify. The debate content might move me over to the right for sure, or over to the left for sure. But a problem is like when I see the Unfuck America report explode in the way it did, and creators just get dragged, and everyone's stuff when we're talking about like Andra leaving and getting dragged, and then like you with the indigenous stuff and all of this stuff coming out in one place, and the left looks like a whole mess. And that's what I think should be avoided. So I think you guys have your place to do what you're doing, but I also think you should try to avert crises like that. Like we have a very lacking blue media. They're dominating these spaces, and we're over here exploding a tour after the first installment. And I think that that's, to someone who was on that side, that's wild. Just because you do debate content, yeah, that might have got me at first, but now I'm more prone to people like Destiny, because I know, at least like with Destiny, he does debate content, but I won't see him, exploding a entire tour over a live like that. So like for us, a lot of people on the right, we see that and we're like, whoa, it kind of turns us off a little bit from the left.
Well, I appreciate you for your time. As I said, I got to go to a movie, and I'm sure that there's plenty of other creators in the field that'd love to speak to you. Have a good one.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. Those were good questions.
Yeah, I wish Dean would communicate like that all the time.
Yeah,
I wish Dean would also debate Destiny.
I do have to say, for example, the one thing that I will say, like what Dean doesn't understand versus people like on this panel, he said he was watching it for 20 or 30 minutes. We went off on a tangent about how some of us, like me or Ray Ray, like some of these words.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Out there, it's really hard for us to understand. And he heard us say that, yet he came up here and talked in a way where we all heard a bunch of words that maybe MAGA wouldn't understand. That's the problem, is you can't approach people like the way he's having a conversation. It works for what he does, and that's great. And his audience is the left, so they understand those words and they cheer it on. But people on the right are just like, what did he say? With the first question he asked when he responded and we started talking to me, I didn't respond because I don't even know what he asked me.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand what he said.
I'm on the right, so I'm not afraid to reiterate this. Like, I'm looking at your comment section, and it's just an absolute mess. I'm sorry. I know there are a lot of them are your friends and everything else, whatever. But they're like people like me and Ray Ray need to shut up or whatever. And I want to explain something. I don't know if you guys have been to my channel and seen that whole boxing drama or whatever, but like I've literally explained. So what happened was in September I set up a boxing card, and in my very first video I explained how boxing and combat sports breeds like in mutual respect afterwards. You go these months of you're both training, you both know what you went through in those training sessions, what it took to get in the ring and everything else. So my idea in September was for Democrats and Republicans to just box it out, which Mercedes is saying she's down for or whatever, being a part of that card. So that was the whole point, like back in September, of doing that or whatever. And so nobody was down from the left side, and I wasn't hitting the left side's FYP. So I tried it again. I was like, let's bring up this political punches thing back up. And I mean, it just got, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It went viral or whatever. And it's just so toxic. People are like doxing me. They threaten my family. They like multiple things. And it's crazy. It's like, I literally had good intentions for this or whatever. It's like, I mean, can I be mouthy and can I be very opinionated? And I mean, you've seen my content. Like, yes, I can. I do it on purpose. Like, it's for me. TikTok, it's
We know, right?
TikTok. Like, it's TikTok. It's social media. I've been doing I've been out of my 9 to 5 and on social media for 4 years now. Like, this is. I don't mind doing this. I like stirring things up or whatever. But I'll be the first to like help people up or whatever and join y'all's lives and talk to you guys with respect and everything at the same time. So I just think, like, when I see the comment section and stuff like that saying, aren't you the guy who was wanting to fight every liberal or whatever? Like, no, I wasn't the guy that was wanting to fight every liberal. Y'all took it as me being the guy that was going to fight every liberal. Like, I mean, I had a guy from the Detroit Lions who was an offensive lineman make a video stitching me saying anytime, any place.
Yeah,
I was
but like the thing is too, that seems like fun and games, and I'm not sure the left is like ready for fun and games because things that are happening in the world are really serious, right? Like I tell the story about my first team leader, a black guy from Chicago. Like he's really scared, right? Like people are really scared, and I think consequences are different for people. So like it makes other people be like, oh, it's just fun and games. Even like women, like a lot of women feel like their rights are being taken away. So I'm not sure this is a time for fun. And at least the left's not feeling like it's a time for fun and games. You know what I'm saying?
It's fair. I just, I mean, I'm just trying to mix things up or whatever. Like you never know what could work and can't work in terms of like, I'm willing to try everything, like anything. I'm literally, I had a liberal on my live the other day or whatever, CFH. I've talked to you plenty. I've talked to Mercedes plenty. Like, at least I may be annoying to some people or whatever, but at least I'm on the right, like, talking to people that's, and not putting a divider.
A quick question. So, Zombie.
For sure, man.
Zombie, do you want that to happen? Because I can make it happen if you want.
What
you messaged.
Oh, no, I was just asking a question. Like, it's up to y'all. I was just asking a question. But I do actually want to ask a question to Ray, right? So don't take this as, like, any type of way, but this is me genuinely asking you a genuine question.
That's
all right, so obviously, black man speaking to you. So your current MAGA, my question to you is, I guess, what is the fine line for you being able to bypass some of the rhetoric of the Trump administration? So for me particularly, right, me growing up around a lot of Haitian Americans, right? Particularly the rhetoric with the the eating the dogs and the cats thing, right? From your perspective, I mean, I used to be conservative myself, but how do you receive a statement like that, but still feel inclined to vote for a guy like Trump still?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you were here earlier. I'll start with that and go like people heard it because I said it earlier or whatever, but I said earlier that I could get behind a movement and not necessarily a person or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like if Good Trouble's in here, he knows I don't like him. He doesn't like me. But if Good Trouble started a mission that was, to stop homelessness or to help, help the homeless eat, like I would support that all day and I would donate to that.
Right.
If I knew it was the right thing. So like, I think you can get behind a mission without getting behind rhetoric and everything. And I'll be the first to tell you that there are plenty of dumb things that Donald Trump says that I do not stand behind, like over and over again. I think if you stand behind every little thing someone does and says and acts out, that's wild. Like you should never do that. There's plenty that Donald Trump has done in the past, in the present, and will do in the future that I do not agree with.
Right. I guess though, from my perspective though, is like that rhetoric though is like harmful to like people in my community, right? Because, for example, like the Haitian community, we don't have, I'm not Haitian myself, but I grew around a lot of Haitians. There's not a look though. Generally, Haitian population is primarily black, right? And in certain communities, especially like for when the town that I'm from was a former sundown town, right? When that rhetoric is spewed of, people that look like me are potentially eating people's pets, it's not just a matter of like, at least from my point of view of, oh, well, like he just said it, it's no biggie. Like there's other bigger things. It's from a lot of people in my personal community, their lives are now tarnished because the person with the biggest platform has put out rhetoric that now puts them at risk. That's like kind of where I come from with that type of thing.
Good. That's a great point, bro. Because it's that rhetoric that makes people cross the street when they see you coming.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest with you, I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I'm glad that you let your emotions out on that and let us know, how you feel about that. To be honest with you, I am taking that in basically. I'm the type of person where I just heard what you said. I like sleeping on that kind of stuff. I don't have an answer for you. Like I don't, Mercedes touched up on it earlier or whatever. MAGA is you guys put people who are toxic call it being dumb or whatever. MAGA is very. I mean, I have a family. I have other things I focus on or whatever. So I'm not always in front of the news and just always knowing what's going on and paying attention to what's going on and really intrinsically thinking about what's how I feel about every little situation or whatever. So I like hearing stuff like that so that I can say, hey, he asked me a question. I don't have an answer for it right now. I want to think about that and think about my vote and how that affects people like you.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the other follow up kind of too is a situation happened with old boy who got deported to El Salvador. I think especially with the Trump administration again being told by the Supreme Court hey, you should probably go get this guy back, and they're kind of well, we can't really do that. What would be the line for you as a current MAGA voter where you start to go, all right, even ideologically, there's certain things I support, but even this is too far. Where exactly do you draw that line?
Yeah, so I've said, as far as immigration goes, I've said that I think the Trump administration is, on the one hand, it is what we voted for. We knew it was going to be fast, quick, and in a hurry. But on the other hand, I think it's too fast, too quick, and too much in a hurry. I think mistakes have been made, and I can't get behind that. Do I think that? I mean, I know everybody's going to disagree with me. I'm in a panel of liberals, but obviously I did vote for. I don't want people to be here illegally. I'm more on the side of I think it should be easier to become a citizen in the United States of America. I think it's ridiculous. It's we're one of the hardest countries to become a citizen for. I know back in the day when I was young and adventurous and traveling everywhere, I wanted to move to New Zealand. I was looking into moving to New Zealand, and it was ridiculous. I was so disheartened finding out how hard it is to move to New Zealand. It's almost impossible. So I'm more on the line of finding solutions on topics like immigration as to how we can approach that to where people can seek asylum and come into this country, legally, but a little bit easier than what the process we have now. And I don't know what that answer is. I'm not a politician, but
Have you ever heard the phrase, when you give up liberty for safety, you deserve neither liberty nor safety? That quote applies to what's happening right now in this administration. Because everybody wants to deport immigrants because white people feel unsafe, right? Whether it's in their culture or in their neighborhood or whatever. And they are willing to give up some liberties due process for that feeling of safety. And that is a very, very, very dangerous route in the freest country in the world.
Yeah, but do you not think it's dangerous the way immigrants are just pouring in here illegally?
Yeah, but they're not anymore because the border's sealed, right? Everybody.
Wait, hold on. I think Mercedes trying to go for a pause real quick.
So
I know what you're about to ask, and my answer is no. If good trouble's coming up here, I'm out. I can't. He has no. I don't like the guy.
do you think that there's any possibility that you two could have a very, because I believe in you two as men.
No, not right now. The way his rhetoric is just to try to do what all.
We're under the agreement that it can't talk. The talk can't be about a fight. But
if Good Trouble comes in here and tries to one up me or whatever he's tried to do, and it's not a civil conversation, then that's
you're allowed to do it at any moment. That's
and I'll just leave.
Stressful, man. That's stressful. Being a part of a social media drama, it's stressful, and I don't want it to affect your mental health, bro. Legit. So
it's not even about that. I just don't. I've already said I'm one of those. I am not a good live person. I need time to think about I love making videos because I get all the time to think about what I want to say.
Nah, you're good, man. Like, I want you to be comfortable, dude. Like, forget all that. Like, this isn't about fronting about how tough you are. Like, that's all stupid. Like, thank you for being up here. Honestly, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Good Trouble said
I do have to say something. I would like to bring attention to the culture that we have here that I think is harmful on social media. For example, this is a panel genuinely trying to come to common agreements, talk about policy. Zombie, you did a fucking great job just listening to you, and Ray had a respectful conversation, which is beautiful. But like the conversation in the comments is just that, again, it's the pitchfork culture of the left where they're trying to go after someone really hard right now. And I have to say, it's got to be a turnoff for people. I know it would be a turnoff for me, but like seeing some of these comments in here, I'm like,
it is, and I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you saying that, Mercedes, because it's your audience. So, like,
no, they're not. I put moderate in my bio for a goddamn reason because
it's everyone's audience, and like
I'm too familiar for these folks. No.
I said it was CFH the other day. I was like, we set the tone as creators. So, like, if we don't want the rhetoric in the comment sections to be so hateful and spiteful, we are influencers. Like, not everybody's going to listen to us, but if like we set the tone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I tell my people all the time, like, none of that, please. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we're human beings at the end of the day, or whatever. We can have all these disagreements, and these disagreements affect our lives. So I understand that, but we can try to get along as best we can.
Okay.
I agree, man. Hey, Zombie, that was a beautiful way to like humanize your community. First off, like that right there, that changes hearts and minds, baby.
It does. That was a great question, and I appreciate you asking me it. I wish I had a better answer, like right now. Like, you know, it's. I guess my best answer is I don't stand for everything that Trump stands for, and it's tough. Some of the things he does stand for, like that hurt people like you.
All the biggest creators have just flocked to this live, and I don't even know what to do with it. And I hope you guys, every single large creator who is in here, I wish we could just have a wiener roast where we go out and we go camping and we drink them beers and we roast some wieners and stuff and have a good old time. But I feel like I'm scared of the left. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared of the left because you guys are a little ominous and you guys are screaming like, let this person up, let this person up. And I'm like, but is it to like be wild, or is it to actually have good faith conversation? Because I believe in you, and I think I'm coming from a perspective of love for all of you guys. I just would love to know if it's coming from a perspective of love from y'all as well. Not good faith, but love. Like actual love for your neighbors, you know what I mean? And it's not that I'm scared for me, it's just I'm trying to also protect people who are on this panel, you know what I mean? Snow the product, you're full as fuck though, you know that.
In good faith, so.
Good trouble with you? I'm gonna. Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, like I said, I'll just leave if he, you know.
Okay.
I've been on Good Troubles Live before, and it actually went fine.
Oh, dude. Oh, cool.
Oh, that was a
long time ago, though.
We have Snow.
No, I didn't say hi to Snow. Hi, Snow.
Hi,
Yeah,
how you doing?
be rude.
But how are you doing? Sorry, guys. Snow the product gets priority, and
I'm good.
Apologies.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching everything that's going on, and I do want to just, because I've talked to you personally, and I've talked to Z, and I've talked to a few people. Are you guys scared at this point of like the conservative stuff? So you guys are kind of protecting it a little bit more than maybe the left, because I get not necessarily being left or liberal, but at some point it starts to feel like you guys are caring more about protecting their egos and stuff and their opinions, and it's a little like weird to watch since you guys have platformed yourselves as the voices that a lot of us followed, right? I mean, me as a person who talked about immigration and everything that's been going on, I'm a little like disappointed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, trying not to be super disrespectful or anything, but also just kind of being like, you guys took up space in some of these conversations and a lot of us supported y'all for it. And we're like, okay, cool. Thank you for speaking up. But then when push comes to shove, it starts to feel like now what? Like now we're going to protect people who support some really messed up stuff? Like, what's going on?
Do you want to answer? Can I?
Yeah, you can start.
I mean, I think so I hear what you're saying, but the whole point here is that we're not protecting MAGA. No offense, Ray Ray, but we're not here to protect them. Yeah, we're not here to protect them. We're not here to coddle them. We're not here to do any of those things. We're very steadfast in what our beliefs are, right? Like, we believe that everybody should have access to Medicare. Like, we believe that everybody should have free college. We believe all the same things. But the difference is that to have these conversations with MAGA, shaming them just doesn't work. It just pushes them further and further to the right. So what can we do? We don't have to coddle them. We don't have to enable them. We don't have to do any of those things. And in fact, we won't, because those are really unhealthy. But what we can do is we can open up space for these conversations for them to change their mind on their own. Because we're not going to change their mind for them, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. When people get out of a cult, especially, and I know this because I have a family member in a cult, is that you have to be there for them, not enable them, be there for them, be the open door for them, have these conversations. And then when they're ready to change, they know that the door is open for them to be able to go somewhere, right? Like, that's a big part of the strategy of that organization leaving MAGA. We do this through deep canvassing as well. So like, when Ray Ray's saying like, hey, I don't have an answer for you, like, what I'm hearing is that he actually listened to what Zombie said, right? Like, he didn't just come up with some like weird generic, like, oh, I support Donald Trump anyway because the Haitians are eating the cats and the dogs, right? Like, he said, like, I hear what you're saying. I'm going to think about that. And then that might not be his turning point, right? Like, his turning point might come a year from now or 2 years from now or 10 years from now. But our job is just to inch them a little bit closer every time and not isolate them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but why not platform more people that actually can do this, but also from the other side? Because as of right now, what it's looking like is majority white people platforming people and coddling MAGA a little bit too much. And then, for example, when he's saying the immigrants are pouring in, I personally felt like he should have been checked a little bit more for that, because shouldn't you look at how he's laughing, and it's like, that's hard to watch because people like Z, who reached out to me for the unfuck your plans or whatever the fuck the thing was, and Mercedes, who I've spoke to before, it's kind of unsettling to see that the people that we were, if you would have asked me 3 months ago, I would have been like, no, these are good guys. These are guys that are talking, And then now you're seeing what you're platforming and what you are kind of like not, and what you're tokenizing and not. It starts to feel a little bit like, okay, so then open the conversation to a way bigger audience.
He would just leave, though. He would just leave, and we wouldn't be able to have a conversation.
Okay, so bye. What do you mean? What is the deal?
Well, then you have to ask yourself what you want out of that conversation. I want a better future for my daughter, but if you want to watch TikTok and watch people just like yell at MAGA, and it may feel good, like it may like you're
minimizing what I'm talking about here. You're minimizing what I'm talking about here, as if I'm not who I am to my community. So at the same time, it's like, to think that I'm just here to watch people yell at some MAGA guy. I don't care. I don't care much for it. Anyway, what I'm saying is just, if you're going to coddle that side, then also have people who are well-spoken and that can maybe give some sort of insight, as opposed to just, some people are just tokenized and then some people just get the whole time to talk. And you can see it in your comments, Mercedes, and I'll leave. I'm in the studio right now. But it's just, maybe just giving you a little bit of food for thought, because I think you think this is helping, but this is actually going to turn the other side to be like, yo, that's crazy. They did exactly what we knew they were going to do. And every time that we do defend the people that are good, and, like the white guy that's good, like, that's cool. But some of our people are like, no, girl, they're going to turn on you. And then you guys are doing exactly that. So it just shows some of our people to be like, oh, damn, like, they did what we knew they were going to do. That sucks. It's disheartening.
I think our audience is not, like, for example, I've told people a couple different times, I said, if me going over and getting in with these people and trying to convert them over here, if it's not something that someone is able to stomach, then I encourage people to not have to watch that, because I think that there's different parts to this people. I think that people have different positions. For example, I do think that there's a huge value in the moderate or the centrist vote that can be used to flip for progress. So even if these people might not align with us 100%, having conversations and learning, what are they wanting, what are they missing, how do we get them to vote over here? Because if the thing is, the truth is, whether a moderate or a centrist voted for Kamala Harris or a far leftist voted for Kamala Harris, regardless, if we had Kamala Harris, we wouldn't be in the position we are now with Donald Trump. And there's a huge group of voters within the middle group, the centrist group. Those are the people I want to go and I want to gather up, and I want to try to tip the scale to get them to vote over here so that other people's rights are secure regardless. The problem is there's a gap in the middle where people want to come over and vote left, but they simply won't because they don't want to be they don't necessarily want to be a leftist. When we talk about certain moderate creators who voted for Kamala Harris, but they call out both sides, it's not that they're necessarily maybe coddling MAGA. They still vote for this side. They just want to create a soft landing space for those outliers of MAGA who might not be on the cult itself, but are on the outside, and coming to find common ground to bring them over here. Zombie, were you going to say something?
I do kind of want to interject here just a little bit because I do feel like there is a little bit of a point that I think is being missed on Snow's, not by Snow, but I think by everybody responding to Snow. I think where she's coming from primarily more is there was certain rhetoric, I will admit, that Ray was saying, because I'll kind of let him speak, to where I am yeah, but still, it's kind of easy for someone to say, I'll think about it, but my community doesn't get to go to sleep, and it doesn't pause at any point, right? So I kind of get what she is saying to some degree of, there is certain rhetoric, yeah, we want to have conversations with people who are on that side, but we don't necessarily want to also give up ground on certain topics to the point where we do lose a certain core identity of the left. I kind of think that's where she's coming from more with that. Tell me if I am misrepresenting anything you're saying, though, Snow.
Oh, I appreciate that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I think sitting here trying to convince one person, it's just giving so much importance to a certain type of mindset. And I also sat here and heard you, Mercedes, when you're oh, that's why I said I'm moderate and that's why I'm this. And we know where, a lot of you guys grew up a little bit more conservative. So at the end of the day, it does start to feel oh, are you going back to your core and to what you know sometimes, and not really listening from those of us that have had to live this forever. We didn't just one day wake up and, oh, I'm better now. I'm not a zombie anymore. No, now, for us, we live this every day. My family, this is what our life is. My family is broken up. The way that people are talking about immigrants, the way that people are talking about immigrants pouring in, and it's just people come to this country because the United States has destabilized the economy in a lot of our countries. That's what's about to happen right now. Why did Donald Trump just bring the cartel's family to the United States, who is very much still involved over there in Mexico? Because they're going to want to enter Mexico, whether they want to or not, which is very fitting for Donald Trump. But do you understand what I'm saying? For those of us that don't get to one day wake up and be I'm better. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm still going to my family reunion. I still got to go say hi to Papa. No, this is our life. So please platform more people that have other opinions. And Z, you reached out to me about the Unfuck Whatever tour. And then you eventually, you chose who you chose to be more important. And now I see why. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys maybe get some Latino people in here, some people that are actually affected by the people that are being scapegoated, which is migrants. Immigrants and people that have also built this country are being scapegoated so bad from the left, from the right, from white people, black people, from everybody. And I just would like to see maybe that when you guys have these panels, maybe you guys have a little bit of more diversity and don't just tokenize some people that don't even get to talk or don't get to do anything because you're coddling one guy that we're trying to convince to not be a zombie anymore.
And
but anyway,
she's not coddling me, though. She's literally talking to other people through me. Don't you understand?
Well, I'm watching the chat. And
whatever.
Yeah, this is not necessarily a turn Ray Ray. It's not a turn Ray Ray party. We're just talking about our opinion as to why we believe that approaching things. Most people here have agreed that we are going down a path. We're not entertainers for the left anymore. So our decision is to not create content that just caters for the left itself, but it actually caters to centrists and moderates to try to get them over here. So, for example, there's a lot of
while abandoning the whole people that gave you a platform.
No, but that's the thing is we don't view it necessarily as abandoning. We view it as separating the jobs per se. Some people have to do dirty jobs, and that's us. We're all choosing to go do the jobs that other leftists don't necessarily want to do because they don't even want to speak to MAGA. Because if you see the comment section, they do not like MAGA. Because I'm fresh from that spot. It's easy for me to go talk to these people. Everyone I know is MAGA. Everyone that I was raised with is MAGA. It's second nature to talk to these people and bring conversations to the table. that is where I'm directing my energy, is to trying to make situations like mine happen, where 2 months before the election, I switched to vote for Kamala Harris, even though I was a lifelong conservative. So like, the whole entire point of what we're trying to do is trying to go find the memes in the world who aren't getting their algorithms broken in through, and giving them the information in person, and creating some kind of organization that really does allow for people who are centrists or independents or moderates who want to leave the MAGA movement and start adapting leftist policies or left-wing policies, to be able to do that without, for example, like when you look at how the Unmasked America tour exploded the first time, I mean, that's an absolute mess of an explosion that the right looks at and discredits us. Those are situations we have to mitigate. And I think creating a space like that, or having these type of people deal with MAGA, is a lot more like we can do something easier because, for example, none of us have disrespected Ray Ray. Ray Ray, when you go into a panel with leftists, how often do you get disrespected?
Pretty often.
The goal is to stop that from happening, to actually start sparking conversations, because psychologically you never get someone to come onto your side if you're being like rude to them, per se.
So you just assume that the moment you get a bunch of people on the left, they're just going to be rude? I mean, wouldn't that kind of go into what MAGA and conservatives already think about minorities? Isn't that kind of the stereotype that we're already always, blanketed? And does the woman next to you talk?
Hi, I'm not a creator, and I'm not really comfortable on camera, so I don't speak very often. So sorry about that. I'm not trying to be like the token here. I just I don't have a platform myself, so I'm just here because I support this movement.
And she's part of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have a good night. I understand some of what you may be trying to do, but I just really plead you, because a lot of you guys have not only platformed yourselves and also taken space up in places that maybe could have been taken up by other people, and also financially benefited from it. I really plead you to maybe think of having more diversity and more opinions, and make sure that you can have the conversation, and you can be like, hey, let's not get disrespectful. Let's try to have a nice conversation. But to just always assume that everybody on the left is going to cuss out some guy named Ray Ray, and then he just gets to laugh and be like, oh, yeah. It's like, I think it's a little disrespectful. And I think, honestly, it just goes right back to what we all usually think, is that you guys are not that far from who your ancestors are and what you guys be doing when you're conservative. So I really do hope that.
Thailand, and my grandma's from Thailand. They're both immigrants here. They weren't even born in this country, but yes, ma'am.
But you know what I'm saying.
I know.
You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm talking about.
It's just one of those things that, like, it's not an assumption that conservatives are berated by Democrats, just like it's not an assumption that Republicans berate Democrats or Democrats berate Republicans. If you look at the culture online between the two, yes, there is no bridge being made. Republicans jump at Democrats, at them, just over and over and over again, and Democrats do the same exact thing to Republicans. All we're doing here in the space is trying to put that divide up and get people to actually talk and not just attack each other online, because you'd be naive, you'd be living under a rock if you didn't believe that the culture of politics and the side choosing and the separation, the divide is widened so much. Everything has become so volatile. Our goal is to try to put milk in the acid. Maybe that'll curdle it. Who knows? But
would a guy like Ray Ray take his videos down that are disrespectful, or is it just let's coddle people that have been disrespectful online and let's try to get them to this side? But where is the grace for the people that?
Who determines what's disrespectful and what videos of mine are disrespectful?
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking. If right now Mercedes and everybody gets you to finally see something, would you see it fit to maybe take down anything that might be disrespectful?
I mostly stand. I mean, I would look at my content. Maybe I mostly stand behind most of my content.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I was just asking if it would actually lead to any benefit online, or if we're just kind of disrespecting the left a lot to try to be cool with the right.
I've made all kinds of content. I mean, Mercedes. I just started a series called "Liberals I Fluck With" or whatever, because I can't say anything on. I don't know. I'm open to conversation. That's why I'm here. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No, can I ask you a question real quick? So, but first of all, I just wanted to say, nobody here that I know of is financially benefiting from this. In fact, I've lost money from this, so there's no financial benefit at all. But if Ray Ray said that he wouldn't delete that content, but he successfully came over to our side and started making Democratic content, would that be a win for you?
That's called playing both sides, and it's actually just not standing on business.
What do
or
you mean?
having any
Like, you
sort
don't
of
see
character
anything-
at all, or having any, because it's like if you actually were to be like, okay, I can see how this was problematic, a real person would take that down and be like, I don't want that to exist. A fake person would just still monetize it and be like, well, you know, I kind of get to live over here and I kind of get to live over there, which I get it. I mean, as a person who makes music and who has, you know, financially lost from taking a stance for my people, I feel like it does hurt to do the right thing sometimes, because it's going to hurt your pockets. It's going to hurt your life. It's going to hurt your stress. We all have a lot of anxiety. We're all going through it on the internet. But at the same time, when you have the right intentions, you do it because it's the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like I said, I'm in the studio. I do feel like it's a little bit disappointing, but you guys, at the same time, you guys know what you guys are doing. Hopefully you guys are doing the right thing. You know, we can all just hope for the best. I mean, the country's a little bit in a fucked up situation, isn't it?
We'll do our best to flip the electoral and actually win votes this time. Get out and get people registered Democrat, get people voting Democrat, because at the end of the day, just creating content that is continued to be fed into a liberal algorithm to liberals, or in a leftist algorithm to leftists, is not getting voters on the side. So we just trying a tactic that hasn't been used before, because obviously the tactics we've been using are not working. So we were told to change and adapt, and we're doing that. And we're, you know, everyone is invited to create their own movement, change and adapt, and fund their own thing, and gather their own creators and do things like that. It's just what we've chosen to do, and this is our vehicle that we're driving, and we are not here to run anyone else off the road. We're encouraging everyone on this race for progress.
Yeah, well, but we can agree that when it's problematic, it's taking up space in places that maybe other people could have talked. We know that.
We're just we're in a different space. We're in a space that I think would probably offend a lot of people on the left, because we're trying to hear what conservatives are saying, where other people don't want to hear what conservatives are saying, because they automatically read it off as disrespectful, which rightfully so. That's your place to think that, that's for sure. But I want to know why they think like they think, and to know why, I have to hear what it is they think. What is that disrespectful opinion that you have, and how can I engage with it?
All right. Well, let good trouble up. I'm out. Good night, y'all. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Bye.
I think her perspective was really good, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think about that, because real lives are being destroyed, and that's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to change.
I mean, I'm sorry, I disagree. I disagree, CFH. Like, I mean,
I grew up in a primarily Hispanic town, man. Lives are being destroyed.
No,
I grew up on a reservation. Like, it's legitimately happening.
I don't disagree with that. I disagree with just the whole. Oh, you're coddling this guy. You're doing this. Like what you guys are doing, in my opinion, is the right thing to do. And you're gonna catch so much flack, like what you just saw. That's gonna be. I mean, if y'all continue on with this, that will be your next month, 2 months. You know what I'm saying? But,
well, that's fine. That's fine. Because ultimately what people need to start to understand is that not everybody's place in the movement is the same. And that doesn't mean that we're not all shooting for the same goal, right? So like, if people can't stomach this type of conversation, if they think it's coddling, if it's harmful to their mental health, don't do it. Like, nobody is forcing people to do this, right? Like, there are other things you can do. You can do mutual aid. You can be organizing protests. You could be, I mean, there's a million different things that you can do, and they're all good things. Like, you could be feeding the homeless. But what we're doing here is we're organizing to get Trump voters to switch and bring new voters into the electoral process so we can get them registered, so we can flip the House in 26. Like, it's a very clear path that we're doing. And that's what I don't understand is when people are against that, right? Like that mission. To me, that by saying things like, well, it's taking up space, but there should be enough space for everybody to do what they want to do, right? Like, I support all movements.
Exactly.
All movements against Trump.
What's very frustrating is you have someone right here who tells you exactly, just fresh, months ago, how I flipped, why I flipped, what appealed to me on the left, what is not appealing to me, what I see needs to be fixed to get more people like me over here, and to have people who have lived as on the left or as a leftist their whole entire lives, or their like conservative upbringing was like going to church and not necessarily like straight up hay farming, like racy, like QAnon parent type people. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different culture. And to watch a bunch of people who only know like blue state privilege come up here and say what you're doing is never going to work, and I'm like, hi, I literally flipped my vote. I was going to vote for Donald Trump, and I voted for Kamala Harris, and I only did that because A, debate content, and B, I figured that I could be the way that I am and also vote blue. I can be someone who's not so politically correct. I can be someone who's just myself, blue collar as fuck. You know, people hate on me for my fishing photos. People hate on me for hunting photos. People hate on me on the side for anything that I do. That people hate on me for my goddamn diesel truck. And they're like, oh, you own too many diesel trucks. And I'm like rolling coal, and they're pissed at me. And I'm like, bro, but I'm voting on your side. Can you please just like leave me alone? This country as fuck. I just want peace.
A lot of my people have been in the chat. I've seen a ton of them, and like all they'll crack on me a little bit, like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing with the ops or whatever? That's all they're gonna say. Though.
Yeah.
Like that's all they're gonna say. You know, like I don't, you know, I'm not trying to rag on y'all, but like I don't understand the left how it's just like, you know.
You don't understand the left, and the majority of the people who are center and independent who would otherwise vote on this side because they care about our policies but hate our culture also feel the same way. And that's what this group is. We are going to, I explained this to everyone on this panel before, we have the right, the left is going like this, and then, you know, if you have the right and they're going like this, those of us in the middle, we're like this on both sides, because what we're doing is so new. What we're doing is the first time a bunch of people who aren't like hypersensitive on the left and are able to engage with MAGA in a different kind of way. It's the first time I think this has really been put together and a group like this has been made. And it is to register voters to vote on this side so that we can actually make progress. It's so that the Kamala Harris is not losing the election don't happen again. We want our side to win.
Yeah, that. I mean, I said that already too. I mean, the Republicans won all 6 swing states, like, or all the swing states. Like, well, I mean, they have the government trifecta. Like, what, you know? So do you want to keep doing it the same way you've been doing it? I don't know. For me, and I would say that if it's the other way around. Like, if
I don't like to lose.
You know, I wouldn't be like, hey, let's just keep doing the same thing. This debate content is what's working. Like, it didn't work. I mean, the people spoke.
Zombie, did you have anything you wanted to say? I didn't know if your box went off.
Oh, in terms of like what was being said?
Just any input on the conversation, whatever you like. Whatever you think.
I mean, for me, I think like the biggest thing, at least like I can say from just my point of view, I think the biggest motivator for me is to just have like the conversations, no matter, regardless of how difficult it may be. I mean, for me, myself, right, like, I'm not really here to, I guess, necessarily, like, because I think the term that a lot of people are using is coddle. I'm not really in the business of coddling anybody, because I vehemently do not agree with anything Ray said to me. Like, I don't really think any of it is valid, but I do understand there is a level of, like, conversation that does need to be had to a point where, like, because realistically, I could just walk away and be like, I'm not really trying to hear that, but it doesn't really, I feel like, feel too productive on my end. I think of it more from the point of view of, I want to understand more where the rhetoric comes from, but I'm not really here to validate it in any way. Mm-hmm. I don't want to validate it in any aspect, from my point of view, at least.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. That's perfect. And that's what we're supposed to do, you know? I like that approach.
Definitely. I feel the same way. I don't feel like validating it is the goal at all, you know? I mean, there's an end goal, right? The end goal is to get them to agree with our perspectives, basically, and vote on our side. That's ultimately the end goal. So to say, you know, when someone comes over and you're having that conversation, to say that you're coddling their, let's just say, racism, for argument's sake, well, you've got to get them to convert their ideas first. So in the meantime, you could say you're coddling them, but I wouldn't say that's coddling. I would just say that's tolerating it until you change their mind. I don't know how else would you do it? How else would you get somebody who has those perspectives to change them if you don't invite them into the conversation? Otherwise, you're just
you're like, oh, that's how you think, then you're always going to think that way, and that's just how it's going to be.
Can we let Good Trouble up? Is that okay?
Never.
And I also want to point out, like, from my perspective, like, that's really disheartening that people view us like that, because, like, what am I, like, I have to try, right? Like, I love my country. I see where it's going. I don't like it. I know, like, I've talked to my dad this way on a one-on-one thing without, like, screaming at him. So, like, am I not supposed to try?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of the people that make those comments, CFH, don't have people that they love that have turned to MAGA. Like, that's what that shows me, because, like, it's the same way for my cousin. Like, I love him deeply, but I'm, like, distressed and angry about his choices. But cutting him off doesn't feel like it's going to achieve what I want, which is ultimately for him to change his mind, right? Like, even though we can argue and we can disagree, like, it's still important to keep that conversation and that line of communication open the same way you would with anybody that's in a cult.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like, I do. It's just one of those things that watching the chat is like, I might not agree with people, but I'm not gonna stand for them being attacked. And that's what I don't understand is, like, the way that this chat is written out to certain people on this channel. Zombie started speaking and you guys all started calling him a token. Ray started speaking and you guys started calling him names. I mean, like, anyone starts speaking on this, and it's like you guys want us to listen to you and engage with you, but then you see that kind of behavior and it's like, holy shit. Like, why does the left act like that, and why do they think it's going to get them anywhere? Because it obviously didn't this last election. We have to be able to engage respectfully, regardless of if we don't agree with these people. We don't have to, concede to what they believe. We don't have to believe it ourselves. We just engage with the argument, hear what it is, so that we can understand better how to try getting these people and attending to what they're saying about the economy and trying to get them over here. It's, you know what I mean? It's not a bad tactic. No one else is doing it. You guys don't like it. What are you doing?
Are we letting Good Trouble join? A lot of people are asking.
Yes, we can do that. And everyone's good? You guys are all good with that?
Yeah, you can let him up. Go ahead.
I'm good for now.
Well, that wrong guy.
That's not Good Trouble.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Sorry, OM.
It's all good.
I'm so sorry.
That's the antithesis of Good Trouble.
There's both black and white. I'm sorry.
I've never tried to get in alive as hard as this, because I think this is important. You earlier, when you were going to bring me up an hour and a half ago, you asked me if I was going to do it out of love and, like, have a nice cordial conversation. And the answer is yes, but not for this. It's for the love of, like, other communities who are deeply affected by shit like this. If you can give me the big box, I don't know if you know how to do that.
I don't know.
No, okay. I'm just gonna show you this. I'm gonna play it because I think it's important, and it's important, I think, also because maybe you don't know this sort of, like, to Snow's point. You might think that you're, like, playing with kid gloves, but coddling this shit is really bad.
Talking about 100 men versus one gorilla, who would win? Bitch, I'm a gorilla. I'm gonna put it to you like this. Not only would I unalive all 100 men that come my way, I will attend their funerals and take their woman from them afterwards. You ain't never heard that once you go silverback, you never go back? Well, hell, I might want to think about this. I might do even worse. I'll keep you alive, but I'll rip your bananas off, okay? Like Lorena Bobbitt. And then I will take your woman. What do you call a picture of me with my arm around your girl smiling like this? That's called gorilla cheese. One of y'all gonna have a wife named Manila. I'm gonna take her. We gonna call that Gorilla in Manila. Y'all act like my cousin Shaq didn't dominate the NBA for decades. Y'all act like my whole
Cousin Shaq.
No.
My cousin Shaq.
No.
So I just want you to be clear. This is all I came to say. If you want to platform people like this, right? You just got to get it clear. It's fine having these conversations. Certain people don't deserve the fucking kindness that you are showing.
And
this
that's
person.
you.
That's all I'm saying. I think that everybody who hadn't seen that video might have a different fucking opinion. Okay,
if
Ray?
I was worried about
And
that,
I swear to
that
God,
way,
Ray, and the next time I fucking see you, I will feed you your teeth. All right, brother? That's all I came here to say. That's all I came here to say, okay? Great.
Like, you guys should talk
You
about
can't,
it.
if you wanna continue to platform this fucking bigot, that's on you. That you get all the smoke after this. That's fine. That's you guys. You get the decision. You get to have this conversation. That's fine. You just know that now you can't just play dumb and say, oh, but we're just trying to reach the other side. This is who you're trying to reach right now.
No, I
Okay,
can't wait till you
that's
drop so I
fine.
can
That's
explain
fine.
it.
Ray, I hope you choke.
No, I can't wait till you drop so I can explain that.
Guys' language, but just be careful.
Okay, cool. Can I explain that now? Can I have the floor? And I will do it calmly, okay? Because I think he's talking about the main joke where I said Cousin Shaq. That is literally a Pete Davidson joke in a roast. Like, go back and see it. Like, comedy is a very subjective thing.
I mean, if I'm gonna keep it a buck though, that was pretty racist though.
Yeah, I do want an answer for that. I haven't seen that before.
I'm just
the only thing, the only thing that I've seen of yours, bro, is the challenges back and forth.
Let Zombie speak on this.
Yeah,
I will say that because I'm not familiar with race stuff. Because I mean, it's like the first time I'm actually speaking old dude, so I'm just speaking like from just what I know. But I will just straight up like whatever explanation you will give, I don't think is acceptable, because I mean, to even like parallel a gorilla to another black man like Shaq, like even if you're referencing something else, it's not acceptable. Like you get what I'm saying?
I'm not going to apologize for that, Zombie. It's a joke from Pete Davidson from a roast.
But it's like it's
most
okay.
of the jokes were from that, so I don't.
But it don't really matter where it's from though. Like you're literally making a racial joke.
No, that's the whole thing. Like. Z literally come into the live the other day or whatever, and she's making microaggressions.
Thank you. You know, the only things I saw with him were the challenge things with Good Trouble, and you know, whatever. I didn't go to see his page or anything or whatever. I just kind of had my, you know, I guess blinders on of just like, he's a MAGA. It is what it is, but I'm open. I'm open to conversation, and like that's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
You can be open to conversation, but like I've said before on live, is there's some people that if they're engaging behavior like that, they're probably not going to end up voting on this side. So if this person is up here and they can see what we're doing is beneficial when it comes to bridging the gap, that's great. And I do think what we do is beneficial. At the same time, though, with behavior like that. Oh, guys, don't give me a gift. Give that to the homeless people. If we see behavior like that, that's a conversation. Like if I were to converse with someone, because I'm not going to lie to you, I believe in rehabilitation personally. So I would make it my mission to have a conversation with him and try to get him to understand why what he did was wrong. Probably wouldn't do it on this panel because obviously there's people in here who's come from a lot of creators right now who probably wouldn't feel comfortable with us trying to deconstruct his thing right there or what he would say. But I am someone who believes personally and honestly that people aren't beyond rehabilitation. I think the left does this thing where they believe that prison term sentences are too long. They want rehabilitation. They want some of the worst folk to go through rehabilitation, right? And that is someone that I don't believe can be rehabilitated on a panel like this. And that person needs to like talk about that, you know, in a way that's open and honest instead of just necessarily defending it.
Yeah, that's something that I would have wanted him to apologize for. Like that's blatant racism right there. Racism, sorry.
Yeah, to say I was laughing at that, like whoever said that in the comments, fuck you, like straight up.
No, it's uncomfortable for everyone, you know. It's just, it's just so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and just to be very clear, I came at Ray like 2 weeks ago on TikTok. So this whole you coddle Ray, you're friends with Ray, that's not true. And also like this whole thing of like, oh, well, you're platforming them. I'm not understanding that. Some people that are in this chat have platformed people like Nick Fuentes. Okay, so if that's your argument in the chat, especially, and you know who I'm talking about, then you should really shut up. That's all I'm gonna say. Because Ray and Nick Fuentes are not on the same. Even on, you know, they're not. Nick Fuentes has a much bigger platform than Ray has. You perpetuated that. So
I gotta get going. But if anybody in the chat has better ideas like that, like how to fight what's happening, man, I'm all ears, dude. Like legitimately, shoot me a message if anybody has any better ideas, because this is what I got. So I'm out. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye, buddy.
Bye, Steve.
Zombie, did you want to say anything?
I mean, I feel like it just kind of goes without saying. Like to me, it's like, okay, because this is my own thing. Like that stuff to me, there's like really no rationale to it. There's no like, what I mean by that when I say I don't give up ground on certain things, like it's just the fact that he even just sat there and said, okay, well, but I was saying, like, no, bro. Like, and the thing is, I had no idea that video exists. Like, I'm genuinely just seeing that for the first time.
Me too.
So I do appreciate.
None of us knew.
I appreciate Good Trouble for bringing that to the attention, because I do feel like there are certain things like that where I can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna hear you out, because there's just certain things that go without saying. Mm-hmm. And if that is a certain talking point where he just can't even like where he doesn't go without saying, like he can't understand that's wrong, then it's just really, there really isn't a conversation to have about like stuff like that. That's just stuff I can't really talk about. Now, other things ideologically, yes, but that, no.
Yeah, and I was expecting him. I had a little bit of hope that he would have been like, oh, and started to talk about that and be like more about apologizing and maybe like seeing why that would be harmful. But he, doubled down on it immediately.
He straight up said, "I'm not apologizing." It's like, not seeing the wrong in that. It's just weird, but.
And there are some people who are just not going to get over to our side, and that's fine too. Like, we have to have these conversations to discover that. Otherwise, we won't know, right? I mean, that's what it's about. It's about navigating these space. These people are going to watch us debate some of the most like craziest people. When we go to these campuses and we're going in these like Southern colleges and stuff, there are going to be people that we have to talk to that have, let's just say, they probably have much worse going on, and it's like. But that's what we're choosing to do, is we're choosing to go to like talk with these people and have these conversations. And it's about, that might have been uncomfortable for us, but it's something that we can see that and we can keep moving forward, and then we won't turn it into something that is now like a 3-week fiasco. And that's the difference, is like recognizing, okay, well, we're moving, and we just keep moving forward. Yeah.
This has been good, guys. We got 1,000 people in here. We are
that's crazy.
We are starting off strong with the canceled lives.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's honest conversation that needs to be had. And I don't care about getting MAGA people up in the panel and talking to these people and having conversations with them. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if we discover stuff like that, the conversations would have to be held off. But like, there's nothing wrong with trying to converse with the opposition. There's nothing wrong with that. And also being respectful to these people, or respectful to these people. Like, I wasn't going to just start cussing him out. I just dropped him. There's no point in going and starting screaming at him. We know that's useless.
Yeah. Zombie, I'm going to let that be your call. What you think about that.
Oh. I think that's a panel thing. We need our panel for that. Okay. I think so. I think it's.
Yeah, I think if they want to have a conversation, I think that's fine.
Well, while you're making a decision, I'm going to head out. I'm going to go see the wife. Enjoy your night. It was a blast. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Bye. All right. That was good. We got to get used to putting ourselves in tough positions and handling them with how we handle them. That's what we do.
That was rough.
That was good.
That was rough.
No, I think that was good. I think that was.
The trouble came in clutch with that.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I can't be mad at it.
No. The group is full blown.
Who else is in the guest box?
There's 15 people in the guest box.
Oh my God.
This includes the older millennial, someone named Anthony Core. We got to speak up in there.
The older millennial. I can't.
Yeah. Let's see here. There's there's Tom Foolery show.
Oh yeah, Tom.
Does Tom want up?
You can bring Tom up. I don't know if he's there. Oh. Hey, Tom.
Oh, hello. Hey.
Hey.
I'm trying to figure out how to use this. Does that work? Okay, there we go.
There you go.
I one of the things that I'm a little confused about when I'm listening to you guys talk about this is a lot of it's talking about like anti-cancel culture and not just going right after people. Is the vision not more so like whether or not people are justified in going after people? Because I think a lot of us are like surrounded by bad actors and people who are just going to go after people no matter what. But as you just saw, like if somebody's actually doing something wrong, we do still want that person to like be held accountable in some way. We still do want them to like answer for those things. And that a lot of times is what develops into cancel culture, is if those people just refuse to actually admit that they did something wrong, right?
Yeah. And there's levels to that, I'd say, because like that video was blatantly a whole ass problem. That video was like, no, you know what I mean? Like that was not it. But see, like that video, I personally would not compare to say like the thing that exploded the Unfuck America tour, right? So like that, and I'm here to talk to conservatives. I'm here to engage with them. I am here to try to rehabilitate them, lead with love, and get them over here. But I see stuff like that, and I'm like, the conversation between, if I were to ever have a conversation with him about that, it would have to be behind closed doors, because I don't think he needs to be platformed to talk about that.
Sure, but I'm more so asking about like a lot of what you guys are talking about is that like I think that there's a pretty big difference between like people who are more moderates or liberals and then people who are leftists, and that they do just objectively have different values. That like lots of times they're going to be different types of people. But I'm asking, it seems like there's like a big gap when what you're calling is cancel culture, and that like people are too willing to shut people down. Like there's always going to be tribalism, right? There's always going to be people who need their spaces and need to be like hyped up. And so in some spaces, they are just going to be blood sportsy debate bros who are just going after each other. And their audiences are learning good talking points from that, or ways to combat things, or they're learning about like, you know, if they saw something, a meme on Twitter that was interesting, that maybe was a little convincing from MAGA, and they thought maybe the Hillary email thing was real or something, you know, they hear these things debated and they're learning from that. And lots of these spaces are good for just that. Then there's other places, like my community is like 30% Republican, and we're going to have like more genuine conversations as well as debates. But I feel like different spaces are require different types of conversations, and they're going to do different things for people. And so I'm a little confused as to what it is that you guys are asking for from people. Is it that you want everybody to just only have these genuine conversations, or and what is it that you guys are calling cancel culture?
Do you guys want to go, or do you want me to go?
I mean, I guess like my question more is like, because I feel like there was a lot of things you did touch on in the question, but I guess more specifically, are you asking like ideologically, what is the expectation in terms of, I guess, what would be defined as cancel culture, like the expectation?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of this comes off the heels of what happened with the Unfuck America tour. So I don't know if that's the example that you want to use, but yeah, what is the expectation of what it is that you guys are actually like trying to combat? Because I feel like there's a spectrum of behavior there where some of it we would find acceptable and some of it we wouldn't.
Well, for me, I feel like there's a lot of nuance in terms of a question like that. So what I can speak from just my own point of view is like, for example, like the whole thing with like, it goes without saying, so this is not really like saying much, but the Ray Ray thing, like there's certain parts where I think it's a mixture of the time in which the thing is taking place and also the distance that person is creating, right? So I'll use myself for an example. When a lot of people, the very few people who know who I am, I guess, brought up like, oh, you used to be like a former conservative. But what people do forget about the video that I made was I was a teenager. I'm 23 now. I was a teenager when I had those beliefs. I left those beliefs when I turned about like 18, 19 years old. I think a lot of people, there's things that they believe when they were children that they wouldn't hold those beliefs as adults, right? But I think my biggest thing though is like if there's certain racial things that Ray was saying like in current day, then yeah, like there's no like space for me to have him platformed, right? But there does come a point to where I think it's a nuanced conversation of what is acceptable and what is things that can be rehabilitated. And I feel like there's no one set answer because I feel like it's like anything, it just depends, right? Like if someone is blatantly racist, yeah, like there's no real space to rehabilitate them in the sense like there's like any honest conversation we had because we're starting from a dishonest perspective, right? Like racism is not a honest perspective at all. Same thing if it goes for homophobia, etc. But if there's certain ideological things, like let's say, for example, I mean, I'm from the South and I can speak on my own community. There is a lot of people within my community that still hold some socially conservative beliefs that are backwards. I understand I have the context and perspective to have those conversations with them because I understand why it's happening. But I think it's also about who is having the conversations with these people. And maybe certain people can't have those conversations with other people because maybe they don't have the lived experience to have those conversations. So it always just depends.
I mean, maybe I'll give my perspective and you guys can tell me if this is like where you guys are landing, because a lot of it is, for me, somebody who was a Republican for a long time, moved over to the left, and I see like a lot of problems with the left that I consistently want to separate myself from, and that I don't like about the branding of the left. We keep talking about the fact that like people are never going to come over to the left or they're never going to vote for Democrats if this is who we are. There's a problem with like too much like cancel culture and too much of like a people purity testing. Mm-hmm. But then there also, I feel like, becomes a point where we probably do have to purity test ourselves to separate or purity test others to separate ourselves from the bad branding, from the, far left tactics, from a bunch of people who may say they're not going to vote for Democrats anyways, they're not going to vote for Kamala anyways because she's, a fascist, or she's too far right, she's too much of a moderate. There's a lot of people where if you are somebody who was a Republican and you changed over time and you're a liberal, there's bad faith actors who will come after you for having old content up where you were, a Republican and you had very different beliefs, and you leave it up, well, they'll attack you for that. If you take it down and apologize for it, now you're hiding it and trying to, make it to where nobody knows that you actually did that. And so there's a lot of people who just want to come after you for any reason. I feel like there is some purity testing that still has to be done to even separate the sane people from the non-sane people, or the people who are just doing this stuff for content. And is that what you guys are thinking as well? Because that's what I'm trying to understand. Is there a separation from those types of people that you guys are looking for? Or are you just trying to convince them to get on board?
No, I think I think I can answer this. I mean, really, what our purity test is that, are you going to vote for Democrat down the ticket or are you not? That's our purity test. So as long as, of course, there are always going to be exceptions to that rule, like calm down in the comments, right? But generally speaking, like our goal is to build electoral power. So when we see something like what we just saw with Ray Ray, and the fact that he doubled down on it, on top of it, like that is not somebody that is even close to be having a conversation about moving to the Democratic side. So it doesn't make sense for us to platform somebody like that, right? But that still opens us up to, and it's also, let me be clear, it's not just about converting MAGAs either. It's also about getting to young people before they become MAGA. because this is a big problem, is that we're losing. And the whole reason behind the Unfuck America tour, as you know, is that we want to target young men, because young men, more than any other group, are moving to the right. And so if they have no one else to look up to other than Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, I mean, I can literally, there's so many of them, right? But ask me who's on the left. Hassan Piker, Destiny, right? Like, most of the left have a problem with Destiny, and a lot of the left have a problem with Hassan, right? So we don't have anybody on our side that is just looking to build electoral power, and that's I think what our goal is here.
Yeah, I think
there was also. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say a lot of it comes down to, like, for example, I bet you a lot of this chat has a problem with Destiny. But, like, Destiny is a person who is, like, that is the first person who broke through my algorithm for me to be able to be like, whoa, this guy's slamming down, like, really hard. The right has a name for Destiny. It's called the Destiny Pipeline. Like, people don't like Destiny at all, and they're popping off in the comment section. I guarantee if we had Destiny up in this panel, what just happened with, like, pulling something up that Destiny has said in the past that's just, like, atrocious would come up, and we'd run into that situation. They'd be like, this, 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 this. And it's like, that's where it starts to get more nuanced, and we're like, well, how do we navigate this, right? Because, like, what is your opinions on, say, like, Destiny? Do you think that's someone who's a valuable tool on this side? Because I think they're insanely valuable when it comes to flipping people from red to blue.
I mean, I'm friends with Destiny, and but I will say that also, even with some of the things that he's done more recently, when his lawsuits are over, I would expect some accountability there at some point. I would expect him to speak on these things, and that I'm willing to, like, give him time to. And that I'm willing to, like, give him time to. It is something that is overall just accountability. That is what we're asking for from people. And it was kind of frustrating listening to people throughout the Unfuck America tour panels where they would say, we're not canceling Z, we're just holding her accountable. And I would love to have asked them, like, what do you think the difference is there between what you're doing and cancel culture? These are pretty much the same thing. I think that a lot of times if people take accountability, that canceling just goes away from actual sane people. But I do think that is the point, is that, yes, like, a more pragmatic people who are actually willing to engage electorally. Hassan is somebody who wouldn't even tell his audience to vote for Kamala and refused. He kind of it counter-signaled her throughout the entire election, and was one of the people who was calling her a fascist and saying she was wanting to genocide. Sorry, there's words that we're not allowed to use on this platform. The things that she wasn't doing enough for Palestine, and so I think that it was confusing listening to you guys talk about this and trying to gauge, where it is that you're actually, what it is that you're actually advocating for in totality, because it does sound like it is like, let's all hold hands and just sing Kumbaya together all the time.
Well, I think what we're advocating for is something that simply doesn't exist. Destiny is the only person that I can name off the top of my head that is a debater on the left who's not a politically correct person. That's the only person I can name. And when I was MAGA, that's the only person I could have named. And now I'm over here and it's still the only person I can name. You know what I mean? So, like, when I think about that, in my head, as someone who is over there, if there was an army of these Destinies, who were going out and doing this debate stuff and going and hitting the ground with their, like, non-politically correct takes, I think that would be just crazy. I think it would do wonders. I mean, I think it would be insane for the right to have a safe spot to land over to deconstruct their beliefs. Because I don't think what people are getting is there's people who might have problematic belief systems, but they're starting to get done with their party. They might be waking up to this. They might be realizing that the belief system over there is not what they want to subscribe to. So then they want to come over here. But when you come over here, where's the landing spot? Because it's not the left, and they're not just going to fly to the left. The idea that they have to just go all the way left is why they're staying over there in the first place, or why they're staying in the moderates for MAGA cage, or the centrist for MAGA cage. So I think like for example, I have a buddy who's really popular on here who's a centrist, and they feel completely alone and they voted for Kamala Harris. They just don't feel like they have a community. There's a lot of people in the center or moderates who do vote or want to vote for this side, but they don't feel like they have any community. And I want to give them a community of people, or like a group that they can be a part of, or an org that they can be a part of, something that they can be a part of that isn't going to cause them to walk on eggshells. Obviously, if you're going to pull a Ray, right, well, that's different. But at the same time, there are creators, you know, like I guarantee Destiny has said stuff that's, you know what I mean? Like at what point are we stating that this is the baddest thing you can ever do and you can't be rehabilitated, and then this isn't? Because do you get what I'm saying? Like, obviously Ray's video was absolutely horrible, but I guarantee we could pull something of equivalency from, say, some of these other left-wing streamers in their past. We had that moment where Mermaid went on a tirade against the T community, right? And it's like, we have things like that happen. At what point do we deem them non-rehabilitatable versus not?
Well, I would say the same thing for the people who are doing that, though, because from my perspective, the people who are going and pulling up all those things on Mermaid, or people like Peyton who will go and find things that are years old to try to go after somebody with today, these are things that I would strongly suggest, like purity testing out of the left as well. Over on YouTube, we do have the more like, I guess what we would call the edgy debate bro sphere, where we all stream at, and that is the politics community over there. But obviously, I'm very surprised to see coming on to TikTok how different it is over here, and that
why isn't it over here? A quick question, like just in on all honesty, if there's an edgier debate group over on, because I noticed that about all of the debate not the debate TikTokers, the debate YouTubers, the streamers and stuff. You guys will have like large platforms over there, but like over on TikTok, it's like null and void. A lot, like Destiny, he posts clips all the time over here, and the platform won't get above 200,000. Why do you think it is, and do you think it has to do with the culture of the left?
Yeah, I think it's where people congregate. There's different types of cultures on different platforms. Even when I was on the right, I streamed on Facebook pretty regularly. And when I was on Facebook, it was all right-wingers. And there's not a whole lot of left-wingers who can stream on Facebook and actually get a community. Then eventually, when I moved left, I swung pretty far left pretty quickly. And I was over on Twitch. And that community was very far left. It was Marxist, socialist, communist sort of groups of people. But YouTube is a place where it has a larger variety, but it does have like a lot more moderate types of people, and it has it just has like a larger fan base. It has a lot more diversity within the communities that are on there, and so I think that on TikTok, when we look at the larger content creators, it is Dean, it is Parker, it is people who are. I don't want to say far left, but maybe young and left. And I think that type of culture is what's building over here right now.
Yeah, and that's what we want to change, is like, so when you notice that there's a bunch of the so-called people on the left, the younger, like far left crowd, and we don't have the edgy debate bros on here, there's a huge population of people who are MAGA who don't watch YouTube. They do only watch TikTok. There's like, for example, TikTok was not the algorithm that just broke through for me. You know what I mean? Like the meta algorithm is better at showing, breaking through your content than maybe TikTok. TikTok's algorithm is locked in. And I feel as though there is not a strong community of like the more edgier debate bros like you have on YouTube over here, but I see the complete value in bringing that over here, because we can change the culture of TikTok. It doesn't just have to be, and it doesn't mean the whole entire culture of TikTok has to change. It means there are places for the Deans and the Parkers and the people who maybe are more left. And then there are places for the edgier guys who, some of these debate bros don't want to talk to the edgier guys because they're afraid of getting canceled for talking to the edgier guys. Why can't everyone be on this platform, put out their content, and instead of like YouTube is dominated by edgy debate bros, TikTok is dominated by
Yeah, but I think TikTok actually insulates that. I think that TikTok makes sure that that is the case because their TOS is very strong. Like I try to moderate my content as much as possible, bleep out as many words as possible, you know, get rid of, blur out my chat as much as I can. And I probably have 20, 30 videos, and I don't have a lot on TikTok, 20, 30 videos that are still getting taken down on TikTok. Yeah. And that their TOS is just very strict, and I think it really insulates TikTok from that type of culture.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that there's opinions that you can bring to the table that aren't necessarily like that. You don't have to necessarily use words that are against TOS. I think there's
Sure, I don't mean that. Yeah, of course not.
But so, like, for example, like older millennial has like a blue check mark. The guy went through I don't know how many cancellations on this platform with his losing it, and then he finally got a check mark. And I'm like, bro, how did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like conservative content creators over here whose platform, you know, it's not conservative. TikTok is a whole nother animal. So I have two algorithms that I look at. I have a conservative one that I go look at to find content to react to. And it's like a whole different space, but it's Harvard and they're thriving over there. And that I'd say those opinions are even more obviously right than the edgy debate bro opinions. And I think that like there's not a space because it hasn't been carved out.
Yeah, maybe. For me, it's hard to even know what it is that I'm getting in trouble for half the time on TikTok, to where I'm confused 90% of the time, and I don't feel like TikTok gives any answers. But it could be, that the people just haven't moved over here yet. The community that is on YouTube right now, that is a community that was started on Twitch. It was called Twitch Politics. People still call it Twitch Politics, even though it's on YouTube today. It is a community that was built over time, and Destiny was the person who built it. People like Vosh came from Destiny. People like Hassan came from Destiny. Like all of these large streaming political content creators on the left, they all started off in Destiny's community and have been able to build an audience over there, even that are diametrically opposed to each other now. But yeah, they all started off with Destiny, and Destiny's done a good job at like really helping other content creators build their platforms and allowing them to go onto his platform and build through him. So it's I think it takes somebody like Dean, like Parker, like these people to make those decisions, because as long as they are the big the ones who are going to shape the culture that's going to be on this platform.
Mm-hmm. And then that's my problem, though, because what we watched with this cultural shift in this last Unfuck America tour is we watched a bunch of I don't think it was handled. You know, like if I don't pretend Destiny was over here and in charge of debate culture, right? I don't think how the NF America tour was handled would have been handled like that over here. I don't believe it would have been flayed out in front of millions and millions of people. I don't think every single creator would have had their skeletons drawn out of the closet and like filleted on the internet in the way that it did. And I just think that they had the power in that moment to kind of be like, yo, let's kind of handle this behind closed doors and keep going for the better of the movement. And I feel like that's just not what happened. And that's what's disappointing to me, because I don't feel like what happened to explode the tour should have been anything to explode the tour.
Yeah, I mean, my position is that it's almost completely audience captured all throughout TikTok. Is that, yeah, if they didn't do what their audience wanted, they would get canceled by their own audiences. They're already getting in trouble with their audiences for not being extreme enough, or not, going hard enough, or not canceling the tour before it even started. Like I feel like they're being pushed into the positions that they're taking right now by their own audiences, and if they're not willing to stand up to their own audiences, because that is something, again, like him or not, that is something Destiny's done a ton of times throughout his career. Is he's had massive fights with his community and has shaped his community to be something that is going to agree with his politics. And yeah, I don't know enough about Dean and Parker to know if this is the case, but it feels like watching the Harry Sisson thing and now the Unfuck America tour thing, that, yeah, it seems to be the other way around, that they shape their politics.
Mm-hmm. Around their audience, yeah, 100%. And that's why I agree. Like, we don't have to agree with everything that Destiny does and says, but what I think we do collectively agree on is that Destiny stands up for what he believes in, and that matters. Because long-term strategy, that's the way we need our influencers, right? If we're going to win elections, we need people that have a backbone and that stand up for what they believe, not people that are just going to try to appease the 5%, which, by the way, they will never be happy. And that's part of the issue with their strategy is that, and that's why all these people continue to get canceled, right? It's like, it's ironic is that they're trying to not get canceled so bad that they continue to get canceled.
Yeah, you can see it in their own communities. You can see in like Dean and Parker's Discords that there is a lot of dissent. There's a lot of disagreement over whether or not Z did anything wrong or whether she did any microaggressions. And there is a lot of dissent. Those just seem to be the much quieter people within the communities that aren't being heard. And it is frustrating because Destiny says, he wants to talk to Dean and Parker about these things. They say, we want to be held accountable. We want people to hold us accountable. We want to be challenged. But they only want to be challenged and held accountable by this, insular group. They don't want to be held accountable or challenged by somebody like Destiny or by people who are challenging them from the other side of this conversation. So it's a little disappointing because, I would hope that, especially if they're debate bros, they would want to be challenged by all comers.
I agree to that. I think that's why, the thing is, like, when Dean comes up here and says, like, well, what we're doing, he thinks that it's counterproductive because it looks like we're just like attacking the left. And I just want people to know that, to think that the first time we as a group have gone live and we're going live and it's been like, a 2-hour event, and it's our first time speaking out on this and then accuse us of attacking the left as we watched them all go on 700 hours plus of lives and videos about this situation. I think that's so hypocritical. I'm like, wait, we're wanting to cancel culture, or at least trying to like shift it to where it's not so eggshelly, where there's room for more of the edgy folk. And to say that one live is counterproductive to the movement because we're dissing the left. I cannot conceptualize that someone who was part of an enormous group who just did that for how many hours for the past 3-4 weeks, why they would think that, you know what I mean? I don't understand.
Yep. No, I do think, though, it's a little frustrating listening to the rhetoric even on this live sometimes. The frustration for me is the problem can't be whether or not, if somebody does something wrong and people believe they're wrong, the response can't be, but guys, like, you can't hold me accountable because this will be destructive for the left, right? The answer should be, like, they didn't do anything wrong. Like they didn't, you guys are overreacting. Like, don't, if there isn't something to apologize for and there isn't something to be held accountable for, the response can't always be like, hey guys, this will be bad for the left if we're holding people accountable. It's got to be like, it's destructive for the left to hold people accountable for things they didn't do. It's destructive for the left to keep holding people accountable for things that they did 5 years ago that they've already apologized for. Like, that's got to be the messaging over and over. It can't be, guys, don't hold people accountable because then we won't have a party anymore.
Yeah, see, and that's how we feel. For example, like, but how do you say that? So if you don't believe, do you believe the thing that destroyed the UNF America tour? Do you think that how do you feel about that situation? Do you think that is a situation? So, like, for example, Destiny goes on the live and he's like, this is the stupidest thing ever. Why are they canceling each other over this? What is your opinion on that? Because, for example, the reason why it's hard for us to talk about this is even stating the words that we believe what happened on the live was not worth canceling the tour over will get us canceled for even saying that. How do you feel about what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's not worth canceling the tour over. I would say that it's not even worth talking about, that there wasn't anything wrong that happened there. And I've pretty consistently been trying to ask people, like, hey, if you think something bad happened there, be happy for you to come onto my show and talk to me about this. And the few that do come on pretty quickly say, oh, it's not for me to say whether or not something wrong happened there. I'm going to listen to, black women. If they say something wrong happened there, I'm going to listen to them. And I say, okay, if I bring you like 10 black women who say nothing wrong happened there, 20, 30, like how many do I have to show you in order for you to believe the other side? That doesn't matter to them. And so I don't even know how to have a conversation with these people or try to figure out what it is that somebody did wrong when they won't even go through a logical thought process or explain it logically or give any answers for these things. You can go to my comments on my videos on this, and it's all just, oh, people have already proven this, or people already said this, or they'll, tag Peyton's video, which has no answers in it whatsoever. And so, yeah, from across the board, it just wasn't even worth talking about. It wasn't worth mentioning. And it's wild to me that it ever became a conversation in the first place.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what you just said, I think people in the comments, like they go off on that. They want to cancel you for what you just said. For you to say these people will be in there. And this, I'm going to follow you, by the way. You are intellectually sound. I'm like, holy shit. I want to pick your brain some more, but you're very, you see what I'm talking about. Like, my problem is not holding people accountable. Pretend I was to go out and do something that was like worth being held accountable over. Like, we decided, hey, that's something that needs to have accountability. That's fine. But like in your situation, how do you get the left to understand that the Z Live situation shouldn't have even been a situation? And if there's someone, are you able, would you be willing to bring someone up and who has an opposing view and help me learn how you would debate that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, the initial thought, as a debate bro, the idea is that they're the one making a claim, so they would have to be the ones to explain what it is that was said that was wrong. And then once they say how this is wrong, then I would ask them to be consistent on that scenario. And in every conversation, as soon as somebody says oh, well, she said that that they were being aggressive, right? And I said, okay, she didn't say that, but let's assume she did say that they were being aggressive. If they were actually being aggressive, would it still be wrong for her to call them aggressive? And every time, that's where it immediately falls apart. They're not willing to have the conversation anymore because, yeah, there's no way that the standards that they hold, they could be consistent on this. It seems as though they decided that they wanted her to be racist and therefore she was racist. But yeah, I'd be willing to talk to anybody about this.
This is cool. This is cool because I've never watched this done before. So I know everyone wanted to free Tashik in the chat. Is that a fun? Do you mind if that's her, or do you have is it? I don't know.
I don't know if she's actually willing to have the conversation, but I'm willing to talk to Tashika for sure.
And I just want to say, guys, before I start getting accused in the comments of hiding, I'm literally about to bathe and put my kids to bed. So I'll be here, but I can't talk for 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're doing fine. You're great. Okay, I'm letting Tashika up, and I'm going to let you guys have a conversation, and I'm going to sit back and watch how this is done because I have no idea. So.
Oh, hey, finally. I love being put to the back of the bus. I know that's where y'all like to put us, but it's great. That wasn't funny. What was funny about that? Okay.
Right, so you're making it sound like it was because you were black that you were put on last, but other black people were put on. Other black people were put on before you as well.
But wait, what's funny about that?
Well, it's funny that you think it was because of your race that you were.
You think it's funny that I feel an issue with that?
I think it's funny that you would jump to that conclusion. Yeah.
Jump to the conclusion that the only black woman that anyone is ever talking about is the last person you brought up. Let's lock in for a second, okay? When you say they, who are you speaking about?
You're talking about if I say they are saying these things about Z?
Right, so who's they?
Just in general, a lot of the videos that I've seen, I actually don't know this space very well. I just found out your name yesterday and found out who you were, and so
right. But you said they, and you're talking about one person. So who's they?
One person. What do you mean?
Are you talking about one person or multiple people? Because a space is a multiple group. It's
I was talking about a space of people. I think if we were talking,
right, and what
depends
space
on what specific comment you're talking about, though.
Right, and what space would that be?
The TikTok, like online leftist sphere.
The leftist sphere? Who's calling out the racism though?
Who's calling out the racism?
Right, like who's like the group that has an issue with it?
The left.
The left?
Yeah, I don't know their names.
So,
if you're
okay,
asking
so
me
it's
for
so I'm gonna
people's
go ahead and
names,
do the
but
math for you, 'cause
obviously,
I feel like you're being disingenuous right now. It's black people, right? The they that you're referring to is black people. Those have been the main people speaking out about this. It is black people that you're referring to. I think it's really important that we specify the particular demographic that you're critiquing here, because it's not just Peyton, right? Peyton spoke because I spoke, right? The words that Peyton used were my words. He made the video because I said, you know what I mean? Like, he made the video the same day I called him, or he called me actually, right? So the demographic, the they that you're referring to is black people, right? So that's the first thing here. I don't know who you are. So, you know, and I think your name is pretty accurate. So I didn't really come up here to care for any kind of conversation that you wanted to pose here. My main question would have to be like the context of this live and why you guys feel the need to do this anyway, right? I find it to be very confusing. Because like people can go ahead and explain time and time again why Z's behavior were problematic. Even Z herself agrees that they were problematic. She apologized. Unless she was lying and revoked it, then that's fine. But personally, that is beyond the issue that I have. I don't care, nor do I consider myself some kind of prolonged victim of Z. I don't know who she is, and I truly don't give a damn. My main issue is that I think you guys seriously don't understand what words mean. None of you are leftists, and the left is not infighting. You guys talk about, and I literally just made a video about this, which is really ironic, but you guys talk about Trump supporters like Naruto talked about Sasuke. Okay? It's odd. Okay? It is never going to be your job to bring these people to your side. What you are supposed to be doing is incentivizing things like education, of which the host here has said that she does not have time for, which is despicable. You need to incentivize for things like education, speaking, art, dance, community, leadership, good leadership, not white ones like Dean or Parker. Get them out of your mouth. And actual representation, right? Not diversity, representation. Diversity comes after representation. They are not one and the same, okay? So I don't see why you guys are sitting here talking about the left infighting. You're just not on the left. You're not on the left. The left is not fighting with each other. The left is fighting with you. At this point, I'm actually going to build a coalition of black women to join any group, any movement that you guys want to start. If you're all white, or most of you are white, or especially any movement ran by Z, I am going to create a coalition of black women to join any movement that you create and just destroy it from the inside. Because the way in which you guys censor black voices is inherently so disingenuous. Because you relinquish all the work that you find necessary to do to the black people around you. And they can literally just tell you any goddamn thing, okay? That's one thing, since you guys like Destiny so much, that's actually one thing that Destiny said that I highly agree with. The fact that you guys are so fundamentally useless that you don't even know how to handle these types of situations. You spent 4 hours on this live talking about cancel culture, and when people were actually giving you the answer to the problems of which you were describing, you sat here and were like, I work so much. I'm a blue collar worker. I don't have time to read books on intersectionality. That's like the main thing that you should be studying. Because you're white. I don't give a damn what your wife is. You're white. Okay? You're white. You're white. That's Coon, and she's white. Right? So like I don't care. I don't care about any of this. But again, I have to say again, I'm not talking to your wife. I don't want you to put your black partner between.
She is the one who I can't control.
Hey, who are you talking to?
I'm not going to talk to you. Oh my god! I'm not doing this.
You're laughing now. What's
brother?
The black person has a different.
I am not going to. I'm not going to berate a black person in between a white person. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
now what?
Continue.
I will. Anyway, so like I was saying before, none of you guys are leftists. You guys are very much, you have an issue with your racism. You have a lot to deconstruct. Also, again, like I think this entire live was very foolish. And it was literally just you trying to vindicate yourself with other people. right? I don't know if you guys understand this, but you're never going to be able to dismantle fascism without first dismantling racism. These two things go hand in motherfucking hand, okay? You literally can't dismantle one without the other. And I understand why you don't care, because you're like a past Trump supporter. And if you genuinely think that in the span of a couple months that you can deconstruct all of the worldviews and all the behaviors.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
I'm a moderate.
I don't care. So if you genuinely
when you talk about deconstruction,
that's not relevant.
When you talk about deconstruction, so like there's a level of deconstruction.
Moderates still need to deconstruct racism. It's all the same.
It's like a.
Why are you telling me this?
What I'm telling you is it's a scale. So when you say,
you're telling the black woman how much you need to deconstruct racism.
Let me talk here. So what I'm saying is when you tell me that I need to deconstruct, you need to continue to deconstruct, or you say that in a couple months you can deconstruct to a certain degree, like I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is in the scale of like, say, like moderates, the deconstruction here, where the leftists pull the deconstruction here. What I'm saying is fundamentally, I'm okay with staying here.
Yeah, so then you're fucking racist. Why are you even in this space? Like everyone has the same. I don't know why you're talking. Everyone has the same thing.
Like, you don't get a disrespecter like that.
Oh no, it's because
I know you love to tokenize your wife, but I'm genuinely.
Hey, no, you don't get a disrespect.
I am not going to argue with another black person. I am not going to argue with another black person, and I came up to speak to you. I don't care for that weird mammy behavior. I am not going to speak to them.
Yeah, but you also said that you weren't going to talk to me either. You said that you weren't here to have a conversation.
I don't know who you are.
You were begging to come up the whole time. Yeah, but you were begging to come up the whole time and literally got here and said that you weren't coming. And you said that
I said that I wasn't here to have a conversation.
I was here to speak to you. Yes, you just came to preach.
Right, and that means that I don't care for you to respond.
Well, but if you're coming to
right, if it means yes, that means you understand.
Have a conversation.
If you just said yes, that means you understand.
Yeah,
that means you understand. I did not come here to have a conversation with you.
I do understand, but
okay, then stop talking.
If you're not coming to have a conversation, I don't know why you're talking.
She's trying to. She has no.
There was this. So this right here is exactly what we talk about. So when I say we have a problem with conservatives, but when conservatives were in the chat, this is not what it devolved to. We might have problem, this is my problem. This is why I'm trying to build up a group like this, because that is the left right now to me. Coming up here and just like doing that and just berating her and berating us like that and not letting anyone speak, I won't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play into that. And if that is what you want to do, that's fine. But Tom, do you see why I am so driven away from that and why I want to create a different environment? Because that right there is who controls the TikTok debate space narrative. I don't get that. Explain to me why. What is it?
She said numerous times that like, we're not the same, right? You guys are not the left. I would agree that like, we are not the same. And this is something that I put a lot of work into, is saying that like, there's liberals and there's leftists, and liberals and leftists are not the same. And there's a whole spectrum there where there's some people who are in between. But yeah, people who are willing to like say that they're going to create coalitions to destroy other movements that are trying to help Democrats, or that are trying to get Democrats elected. Like, yeah, those are the people that I'm talking about. Those are the people who are, they're bad for the left. And they are people like, I would consider Hassan one of these types of people. It was funny listening to Dean listen to Hassan talk about how much he hates liberals. And Dean was sitting there going, what? Dude, I'm a liberal. What's going on? But those are the people that he surrounds himself with, as a bunch of people who hate liberals. So I was surprised that was surprising to him. These are people that we need to separate ourselves from. Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to do. That's the purpose of this live. Yeah, you can say what you ever want. I can't control you. So
sorry, I just want to say one thing before I go to sleep. I've witnessed, I've dealt with real racy behaviors from white people, I guess you could say, but I would like to say that Black people, my people, are probably one of the most racy people that you'll ever meet. I mean, I think a few weeks ago, I think it was at the Candlegate situation, and I was trying to defend Mercedes and saying like, hey, I don't think this is a racy situation, and I got called every racy word under the book that you can think of.
I got called a coon. I got pictures of like a raccoon holding a cat or something thrown at me or whatever. And this is the real reason why I'm behind this movement, is because I want to stop this. It's if you don't have a voice that's perfectly aligned with the far left, then you're wrong. It doesn't matter what your skin color is. And I'm sorry, I'm a little like worked up, but it's just.
But it's even like these people, when I say the leftist is toxic as fuck, they see you up here like emotional, like you're genuinely bothered by her behavior. You're genuinely bothered by the behavior that when they talk to you like that, or when you get sent pictures like that, and then it's like these people in the comments, they don't care.
Yeah,
because this is the leftist space. They have no empathy, and this is why people move right. This is why people continue to vote right, and this is why I am not here. When Snow comes up here, when all these creators come up here and say, you need to platform the left and give these people these voices and cater to them. Fuck no. I will never do that, because my goal is to get people from the right over here without any of that noise and drama. Because like having someone come up here and just do that, if you're in the comment section and you think that was a mature response and a mature way to have a conversation, I tell you, you haven't, like, that's, no, like unfollow me if that's your opinion. If you think that was a mature conversation to come up here and just start acting like that, then this ain't the page for you. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's all I got.
She said she wasn't going to talk to white people about it, but she also said that she wasn't going to talk to black people about this either. I found out about the whole like Unfuck America thing from a black man who's a streamer on YouTube named Irrelevant, and he was going over it, talking about how ridiculous this was, and that these people, he calls them racist. He calls people like Tashika racist, and says that they are bad for the movement. I watch videos from groups of libs of TikTok, and I always thought that they were actually making those videos themselves. I thought that they were going and like paying actors to make those videos and say those things. But I'm realizing the more and more I watch TikTok that those are not, they didn't make those videos. Those are real people who are actually on the left actually saying those things. And it's rough because they are the loud people. And that's the way that the entire Democratic Party is now being branded, is as those people, as though we all believe in, 62 genders, and we're all, believe just a bunch of crazy things that, the prejudice plus power equals racism stuff. It's a caricature that all Democrats have been put into that bucket, when really it is a small group of people that probably don't even vote for Democrats at the end of the day.
It's a small group of people that's extremely loud, and it's like, dude, you're refreshing as fuck. You are a pleasure to talk to. Wow. Like, you're really, really, really good. And I was ready to watch you engage in that, but then it quickly devolved into, obviously, no one was going to hear either or.
Yeah, I didn't think she was going to have a conversation. As soon as you said that you were willing to do it, I thought, yeah, I doubt she's even going to be willing to talk. But if she was, I'm totally down to have that conversation with anybody else as well. If anybody wants to come to my channel sometime and have that conversation, I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, I think that's oh, someone said let Dean up to talk to Tom. Does Dean want to talk to Tom? Is that?
Yeah, if Dean's here, I'm happy to talk to him as well.
This is so wild. This is just the most wild thing ever. Let's see here. There are people in this chat box that I know are only up here to start devolving into an unproductive conversation. So we're letting people up that want to have actual productive conversations without like the over talking, hearing each other. That doesn't work at all. That's crazy. Dean says he's in queue. Do you want to talk to him?
Hey, so I actually can't talk. I'm getting ready to make dessert for me and my girlfriend, but I did request up to say that y'all should let Erica up.
Is that going to be a productive? Because I think didn't you tell us to let Tashika up at one point?
I don't think I did that, but I think that it'd be worthwhile to let Erica up. Erica's a fantastic individual. I spent some time with her on the trip. Very, very awesome, kind-hearted person. I think it'd be really worth it to have a conversation.
like productive.
I don't know if you guys know Erica better than I do. Everything that I've seen from her, she seems like a really like chill person, but I don't know her very well, so
I don't know anyone.
I could be wrong.
So.
Yeah, I think it'd be productive. I gotta drop down though, but I just heard my name and I was like, hey, I'm gonna use this opportunity to pop up and recommend they bring Erica up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, see ya.
Okay, would you want to talk to Erica? I think this will be productive. We'll get Erica up here. This is the right Erica, right?
Yes, it is. So, okay. So here's the thing. I didn't come here to have a conversation with tomfoolery at all. I didn't come here to yell at anyone or do anything of that nature. All right. I do just want a moment to actually speak because there is a problem here. All right. All of the feedback that I received in regards to participating in this tour, just one event does not make a tour, but all of the feedback that I received since Friday, the 18th of April, was simply that Z needed to step down. Z is a racist. What Z then did was skirt accountability and allowed the creators to be thrown to the fire. That's what Z did. Now, Z is currently hiding behind her child because she doesn't want to have this conversation. That is what's happening. Once again, she is being allowed to avoid accountability. Z did apologize in that signal chat. Yes, she did. She apologized. But when called to make a public apology, she did not make that public apology. She did not do it. And she refuses to do it. And then to start whatever this is right here, with a bunch of ex-conservatives saying that we need to rehabilitate MAGA. No, we do not need to rehabilitate MAGA. That is not what needs to happen. All right, Mercedes, you're sitting here showing your racism. You have, babes. You have shown your racism. Assuming that I'm going to come here and have the same type of conversation that Tashika had, grouping us all together. That's what you've done. Baby, that's a microaggression. You can roll your eyes if you want to.
It wasn't you. It was her saying what, and I was like scared she was gonna come over here and start engaging.
It's for all of you not wanting to hear what people of color, what Black women especially, have to say in regards to this. That is the problem. That is literally the problem. Dismissing Black voices, especially Black women. That is the problem, because you all are afraid for some reason or another to face who you are. Who you are. All Tashika was saying is that before you can fight fascism, you have to fight racism. You have to have some introspection and look within, see what your blinders are, and then correct them and open your eyes. That's literally all Tashika was trying to say to you. That is it. That is it, and that is all. But if you refuse to actually recognize that you have blind spots, then how can you get down, boots on the ground, quote unquote, and have these conversations? You're still coming from a place of privilege. You're still coming from a place of privilege, and none of you are willing to actually recognize that because y'all don't listen. As Mermaid said previously, we are currently in the state that we are in the United States of America because y'all refuse to listen to Black women. Those Black men on the panel, after rewatching, they said and did nothing wrong. It is okay for us to express our emotions. It is literally okay for us to express our emotions. It is emotion, our passion, our zeal, as anger, as aggressive, as antagonistic. That is on you. That's not on me. You have to ask yourself, why do you have that bias? Y'all don't realize that, and that is the problem. So again, Z, the problem is you. No one has a problem with people going to different college campuses and talking to college students. Yes, it was a dumbass idea to try to trace around Charlie Kirk. I mean, that's fucking stupid. I'm not going to kid you. That's a silly idea. That's really silly. However, getting down there and talking to young people, that's not a bad idea. That should be done. But Z, you have to recognize you are a problem. And you refuse to acknowledge that you are. You refuse to acknowledge that you have a smugness about you. You refuse to acknowledge that you say problematic shit. You refuse to acknowledge that Z, you are racist. And you have to deconstruct it. You really do. You should read some books. You refuse to do it. And guess what? Deconstructing doesn't happen overnight, but Z, take some fucking accountability, please. That is all that I am asking of you. That is all the majority of these people are asking of you. No one is trying to cancel you. No one is doing that. They want you to take accountability and you refuse to do so. So until you do so, people are going to continuously be on your head about this. And if you want to continue to exist in a space like TikTok, Z, then you are going to have to take some accountability.
Erica,
you said that you weren't here to talk to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I have one.
Tom,
question.
I said that I wasn't here to talk to you. Please respect that. Thank you.
Okay, I
Yes,
just have
Z?
one. Yeah, I have one question for you. The morning of Sunday before. Yeah, I have one question for you. The morning of Sunday before.
Okay, so like her refusing to want to talk to Tom, refusing to want to talk to other people on the panel because she just wants to come up here and say her piece, that's fine and all, but if we're gonna all talk, we all get to talk. I don't sit here and play the card that I've seen these creators play when they are going on their apology tour and they sit here and they let them just go on for 10 minutes just berating them. That's not a productive conversation. You might not think the way that this is going to operate is for you, and that is totally fine and that is totally okay, but we can have productive conversations. So when you come up here and you guys start talking over each other like that, it's not productive. And if anyone disagrees, I'm sorry, but that's just like it's an immature take to think talking over each other and starting to yell at each other is all right. Someone said you let Ray Ray talk. Well, Ray Ray wasn't interrupting people. You know what I mean? Like, he might be an issue and he might be gone off the panel, but he's not interrupting people. And we are not going to interrupt people in this.
That's what I don't understand. I mean, I gave her like 7 minutes to go off on what she wanted to say. And then the second I start talking, and this was the same thing with the first live. It's like you give space, you let people say what they have to say. And then as soon as you start to respond, to just start talking, like, I just don't understand the purpose of it. I really don't.
They start talking over you, and that's not okay. Like, I don't believe in, and anyone in the comments saying it's a microaggression, this is my stance. It is not microaggressive to not want to be talked over. If we're going to have a conversation that meets from eye to eye, we're going to have to respect each other's turn to talk. And that is not what just happened with the first person or Tashika. Tashika or this person. We want to have productive conversation, guys. So if you want to have a good productive conversation, come up here and that's fine, but you can't talk over one another.
I just wanted to address the one thing that she like ranted on about Charlie Kirk and like how that's silly and not productive. I just really want to ask you, Erica, if you think that what Charlie Kirk is doing is productive, because statistically it is. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand this whole, this is silly following around Charlie Kirk. Like, I hear like the very far left say that all the time, but then, okay, if that's silly, if it's silly to mirror what the right is doing to build power electorally and it's working, to then register voters, to then win the midterms, what is the solution what is your solution? Like, what should we be doing instead?
Well, if I can ask, I mean, I did want to talk to her, and I know that she wanted to tell you guys that she didn't want. Well, no, she says she wasn't willing to talk to me. I was the one who asked for her to come on so I could ask, because I actually am interested in the answers, because I haven't heard anybody actually explain any of these things. They've made a lot of statements as to what they think, but they haven't actually explained their thought processes on it. But I did want to ask Z. So one of the things that she said was that that you made an apology in the text group, and then later they were all saying that they wanted you to make one publicly. But it seems as though they left before they actually told you that. Did you afterwards, when you made an apology in the text group, do you feel like there's a reason for you to make an apology publicly as well?
No, because what I apologized for was being unprofessional, which to me, the people that deserve that apology were apologized to, right? Like and I don't understand how that could devolve into the public thinking that I should like publicly apologize for that. To me, it doesn't, I'm not sure. And again, I think even if I did publicly apologize, they'd just pick through it and they wouldn't be happy with it either. So
you're saying you apologized for going on there in the first place, and you were apologizing to them because of the way you felt like it made them look. And so you were just apologizing for going on there to them. Correct. Because they were okay.
Yeah, correct. Sense. Yeah, to the creators and to my staff, because to me, it doesn't, it's not professional for me to be joining any lives as like a leading organizer on a tour like this. It doesn't make sense. So that's what I apologize for. And the creators and staff had all agreed that that was a sufficient apology to then come back. And most of them didn't even ask for a public apology. Erica had floated that in our conversation, asking for a public apology in the morning. And before she'd even called me back, she was live, spreading, insane things about me, saying that like I'm money laundering and that, these things are just so, like, I can't even understand. I wouldn't say those things about my worst enemy. Like, people have lives and, I was getting doxxed. Like, it just is so, like, that behavior to me is just so insane. I don't understand it. And people saying like 100K is missing. I have a whole video with receipts. So if that's what you truly believe.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that the left is roughed, and that's why I identify as a moderate. I'm going to stay in my moderate box. There's people like Clarkson Lawson. There's people that are in that box for that reason, because it's like the left is crazy.
What I was saying, because people are saying you're saying she's insane. That's not what I said. Again, this is like twisting words. I did not say she's insane. What I said was that it's insane behavior to call somebody, ask for something, and then without even calling them back, go live in front of thousands and thousands of people, spreading complete and utter lies about them. That's what's insane. That's what's insane. Like, don't twist my words again on this live and try to make it seem like that's what I'm saying when I'm not. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it's wild a little bit.
Yeah, my next move would just be to like call people and just try to figure out what makes sense for everybody involved,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what, like, looking at all of this, that was the most surprising thing. And I've said this to you, Z, like the watching Peyton go live, all the people on the panels, from everybody, it didn't seem as though any of them actually had conversations with you or talked to you about any of this stuff before going public and making a bunch of statements about things. They didn't get clarified. They didn't try to clarify anything. They didn't try to understand anything. It seems like, a lot of people jumped to conclusions and then went live, and that I can't imagine doing that. That's from my understanding and from everybody that I've spoken to, that's what happened. And I can't imagine just not even speaking to the people that I have direct access to, that I can just text or call and get direct answers from them. It's something that I can't imagine.
Is there someone in the chat who would actually like to have a productive conversation? And I want this to be between someone who wants to explain tomfoolery is a good debater. Like, this person has education in this space in a way that I don't. Would someone who is willing to come up here and talk about this opinion with
And just to be clear, I'm not trying to like debate like I'm trying to like own anybody. I am trying to like understand things. I do it through like a more debate format of like asking questions or like things like that. But I'm not trying to like win or anything like that. I want to understand the positions for sure.
Yeah, but like from someone who will allow conversation to be had. Is there someone down there? Someone put Erica, but that didn't work out. So there's Geek, and then there's Jaden. Do you have a preference? Do you know either one of those?
I know both of them. So.
Geek, some people keep saying Geek, and then Jaden. Okay, I'm going to try this, but I'm just going to warn you guys that if the talking of the over starts going wild, I will drop you because I don't feel that it's productive to start talking over one another. It really, really isn't.
Hello, can you guys hear me just fine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually
Is
came
this
up here to
Allie?
address. Yes, this is Allie or Geek. Hello. Can y'all hear me just fine? Just to making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually up here to. So sorry, tomfoolery. I don't know who you are. I do apologize. I have no issues with you. No genuine ill will towards you. I actually came up here to address Z directly, as I am the host of the original live that she's speaking about, and I feel like I have every right to be up here and ask her a few questions directly, if you don't mind. Nothing too crazy. I'll let her engage. I just truly want to understand her thought process with this entire thing.
Z, is that all right with you?
That's fine. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay, so just to clarify, Z, you said that there's a few things I would like to address, and the main one I will actually address is what you just mentioned. You specifically stated that you apologized to the people that you felt like was important to apologize for, and of course, I'm assuming you're talking about those that were going on the tour directly, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, why did you not feel the need to talk to the people that you actually harmed?
Well, are you referring to you and the women on the panel?
Yes.
So to me, the way that you guys engaged back with me told me that an apology wouldn't make a difference because you weren't there to listen to me to begin with or to have like a genuine conversation. So to me, what it looked like, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but at least like my knowing of Tashika's history, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. I'm not judging you or anybody else in that panel, except for obviously the people that were very upset with me on that panel. But my understanding was that you guys weren't there to have a genuine conversation about the tour.
Yeah, so that's not fundamentally true. You were listening to us in regarding to our suggestions in regards to the positivity about what this might bring, what the